What is going on, everybody? This is episode 231 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name is Brett. I'm here with my co-host. Would you introduce yourself, please?
What is up, Crisis Nation? It is I, Mary. I'm back once again. I can't believe it's only Tuesday, but we have a fun docket for you guys today. And we also have a guest today. Introduce yourself, please.
How's it going? My name is Chris Bertman. I'm a writer for Timcast. Shout out to Timcast News on Twitter.
Ooh, he's got his own.
Ooh,
he's got his own intro piece now, like Hannah Claire.
Well, now we're making him self-conscious about it.
I've been taking notes.
Taking notes? Yeah. But by the way, guys, Hannah Claire will be back tomorrow. She's going to be on our Wednesday show. She's back in town, so that we are looking forward to that. We got a bunch of stuff to talk about today. We're going to talk about the absolute double standard that is Hollywood. Have you ever heard that saying, if leftists didn't have double standards, they wouldn't have standards at all? Well, I think that same thing holds true for Hollywood and double standards, and that's related to Gina Carano, her tweet that got her fired from Disney, and a recent tweet from Susan Sarandon. We will get into that. We're also going to talk about Superman, the man himself, Henry Cavill, giving us notice that he is back in the saddle for more DCEU movies as Superman, much to, I think, everyone's delight, especially me, if that means I don't have to have that Ta-Nehisi Coates Superman movie. Please. So we're going to talk about that, and then we're going to talk about the first appearance of Bill Murray.
He's reared his ugly head once again.
He is
that absolute monster of a man. No, I'm kidding.
No.
I don't actually think that about him.
People hate our takes on Bill Murray.
We'll get into it, okay?
So Bill Murray made his first appearance in Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania trailer today, and people have stuff to say. We're going to get into that. We got Podluck. We got a bunch of other stuff. So if you guys are ready to go, we will get right into it. Mary, are we ready?
We're ready.
Chris, are we ready?
Ready.
By the way, I almost said ladies because it's usually
ladies.
On Tuesday.
Are we ready?
Well, because guys is a gender neutral term. You can say guys.
You're canceled for that.
Very gender
Watch
neutral.
out.
Do you think that's fair enough?
Of course, it's gender neutral.
All right. So it says, Disney fans slam Susan Sarandon for posting same quote as fired Gina Carano. Now, there's a little bit of misinformation there. They're not the exact same quotes, but the sentiment in both quotes is absolutely the same. So before we get into it, let's read them both so we have an understanding of what each of them said. And remember, the Gina Carano one is from back many moons ago when she was still
January 2021.
It would have been very early in 2021. So this is from Pixel Trader over on Twitter. So this is first we'll read the Susan Sarandon one. It says,
it didn't start with gas chambers. It started with one party controlling the media, one party deciding what is truth, one party censoring speech and silencing opposition, one party dividing citizens into us and them and calling on their supporters to harass them. It started when good people turned a blind eye and let it happen.
Now let's go to the Gina Carano one.
She said, Jews were beaten in the streets, not by Nazi soldiers, but by their neighbors, even by children. Because history is edited, most people today don't realize that to get to the point where Nazi soldiers could easily round up thousands of Jews, the government first made their own neighbors hate them simply for being Jews. How is that any different from hating someone for their political views? I would say it's a lot different.
But
so I'm not totally getting behind the sentiment that Gina Carano originally posted. I certainly think she should have a right to say that, and there are perfectly valid reasons she had to be feeling persecuted in that position because, as we know now, she was subjected to this 45-person Zoom call struggle session with members of the LGBT community so that she would comply with their pronouns and gender ideology. They wanted her to send a certain message, and when she didn't comply with that, they pressured her by threatening her to take away her job. Mm-hmm. I don't think that's fair, but I don't totally agree that it's the same thing as racial persecution.
So are we quibbling about the last bit of editorialization in the Gina Carano paragraph, and that was what justified them firing her? If she hadn't posted the part about how is that any different from hating someone for their political views, do I buy that?
It's obviously a contentious thing when you compare the Holocaust and genocide in general to different forms of persecution or lesser forms of persecution that are still very real, like in Hollywood. It's a contentious issue, as we're seing with what Kanye is facing right now.
I also want to point out that Susan Sarandon, famously of Dead Man Walking and Thelma and Louise, a bunch of good movies, but in this case, I feel like there's as what you would consider a liberal or a leftist. I don't think she understands just how like disconnected she is from reality. If she is in fact trying to say that someone opposite her is the only one that's doing what she's saying in this tweet.
It's because it's different with a capital D,
yes.
Brett.
I bet that Susan Sarandon posted this in response to the Kanye situation and did not think of the context that someone else has been fired for sending the same message on social media at all. It's kind of a boomer take anyway. It's like, man, we should just be less divided, man.
So,
it's not that controversial. It's only controversial when it comes from the mouth of Gina Carano.
Yes. Well,
they specifically targeted her, and yeah, she totally had a right to point out that there's a double standard.
Yep. To me, this is one of those things where for Gina Carano, they were looking for any reason to get rid of her whatsoever at that time. Partially because of the Zoom call stuff, partially because of putting beat bot boop in your profile because you're pushing back on everything these people are saying. There's a million reasons why we could point out that it was unfair, but this goes across the board in Hollywood. You're not going to get separate enforcement of anything. Remember, Pedro Pascal made similar claims calling half of this country Nazis when he posted about Donald Trump losing in 2020 or whatever. He talked about losers during the Revolutionary War or during the Civil War, losers during World War II, and then losers in 2020, which is the same thing as attributing all of it to right-wing fascists, as they like to say.
Yeah, I believe that Quentin Tarantino also has posted things on social media.
This was taken from. This was taken from.
This was from his page.
Yes, yeah, this is from Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah, so he's also been under fire for content that's in his movies being politically incorrect by today's standards, of course. I mean, people have pointed out he's rather too keen to add certain slurs to his scripts, and he's kind of an artifact of a person.
There was
so he gets blowback for that too.
But he's got,
but not to the same
capital.
degree. And he's built up the name recognition and wealth and reputation. And I don't think Gina Carano was given the same chance.
Yep. So it says this is one of my favorite comments from when it said, this is from somebody on Twitter, says her comment is precisely about you fascists, as you know full well. They don't get that this could be like literally any side could interpret the other side as something like this, which is why I hate general aphorisms and general statements that anybody could twist to meet their own definition of something if you think hard enough about it. I
mean, people took what Gina Carano posted there and just made like every conclusion you can think of. They thought that she was referring specifically to vaccine requirements. They thought that she was an anti-vaxxer, which she never came out and said. All she said, I believe, publicly was that she doesn't believe someone's vaccination status should affect their ability to do their job.
Yep.
And specifically in the entertainment industry, that's true. If you want to say it's different for another industry, fine. Yep. But like in entertainment, that is her sector and she has a right to say it. But they said that she was comparing being an anti-vaxxer to being a Jew in Nazi Germany. Well, and I just don't make that it's not clicking for me. I'm not making that connection. If someone could help me understand,
so
maybe.
I have a confession to make. I'm secularly Jewish on my dad's side. So.
Okay.
And so when all this vaccine stuff was going on, a year and a half ago, I remember making a point on, I think, Facebook or something, to my Jewish family, right? Uh-huh. That not comparing, but I'm saying, guys, the point A to point B process of like all of a sudden now we have to start showing something to be able to go into a restaurant, to go into a store is like, it's the same type of trajectory. I'm not saying it's literally the same. And
there is no one-to-one comparison to make.
There
you have to make a general assumption there. There was also a Supreme Court decision, I believe, this week saying that people who were fired for not being vaccinated will get them their jobs back and back pay. And one of the things that they cited in the literature for the decision was that they've shown that vaccines, whatever in the literature said, does not prevent transmission.
Amazing.
Yeah. So that take for that what you will. But the point is that it's selectively enforced. They're saying that
this is kind of irrelevant because she wasn't actually talking about vaccines and posting
And
that.
she
It
didn't
was
say
a
that.
very vague sentiment that
That's
she
what they're
felt
assuming.
relevant to her because she was getting specifically targeted for not ideologically conforming with the rest of Hollywood, not just on a vaccine issue, but on multiple different political issues. She did not fall in line. And it's something that, like, you can, if you're an entertainer, you can strategically be silent on certain issues if you disagree with the mainline position. Like, I'm sure there are plenty of celebrities who fall into that pool.
I actually have this article here from Dean Cain. It was in Bounding into Comics today, where he says, he says former Superman actor Dean Cain calls out cancel culture and Hollywood's hypocrisy. He says if they disagree with your political leanings, they don't want you to work. The point here, to me, is that for Dean Cain and the rest of these people, you're incentivized by staying silent, right? So I've seen a lot of things from, like, Jordan Peterson will make posts about how for a lot of people, staying silent feels like it costs them their soul, right? It feels like it takes a chunk out of them every time they choose. There's a YouTuber also, I'm sorry, like a podcaster named Africa Brooke, who says the same thing. Says, like, every time you self-censor because you want to keep your job or because you want to do this or you want to do that and avoid the backlash, it really does tear a chunk out of your soul because it feels like you're hindering your natural self for the sake of everyone else because either you don't want conflict or you're scared of what other people will think of you. Right? And to Gina Carano, it was just too much to not be able to say what she needed to say. I can absolutely understand the utility of staying silent. I understand that. Like, to me, it would be more about not wanting to spend arguing with people all day. Like, I saw a meme the other day. It was like an old guy in a bed. It says, I wish I had spent more time arguing with people on the internet. Like, I don't want that. And I don't know why anyone would want that. Comment sections will never make sense to me. But I get the idea that there is a cost to not speaking up, whether you think it's logical, whether the person commenting thinks it's logical. If they have a Ukraine flag in their Twitter bio, I'm probably not going to assume that they're completely unbiased anyways, right? Thank you. There's a cost there. And I'm able to kind of get through that cost by doing the show, right? We share our opinions. Not all of them, because there are takes that are too spicy sometimes for social media or for the internet. But for the most part, you are able to speak out here in a way that gives you a platform. And for a lot of people, they feel unheard. And she felt that way. And I don't think that was worthy of being fired when it's not evenly enforced. Is it a crime? No. It is not protected by the government, but as a private corporation, I wouldn't even say Susan Sarandon is the best example. I would say the Pedro Pascal stuff is the best example of uneven enforcement of those rules. And seeing it come from Susan Sarandon now, when there will be no backlash, there will be no pushback, it is frustrating. It is annoying.
Yeah, some people have a temperament that is just more immune to online backlash. I think we both have to either come to this show with that temperament or adapt to it accordingly. And for someone on Gina Carano's level, it was even more pressure. I think she actually was perfectly happy, though, to stay silent on her political beliefs had they not pressured her to compelled speech. That's really what it was about. It wasn't about being pressured not to say her opinions. She, I think, would have been happy to not talk about her political opinions. She would have been happy to continue on that track, just being an entertainer, and that's fine.
I'd like to see a timeline of, like, when she started. I think people during COVID and when everybody was cooped up, a lot of people started saying a lot of stuff that they probably, if they were busier, they wouldn't have taken the time to say, but they were stuck at home, not doing anything. And, you know, how much of Facebook was just awful during COVID because people had all the extra time in the world to just argue nonstop.
I'm sure in her position as well, she was getting so many professional opportunities taken away from her because of COVID-related protocols and regulations that specifically affected the entertainment industry. So she felt it was particularly, pressing to speak out on it.
And this would have been right after the election, right? This would have been right after the election, and everything that's going on in the country was at an absolute fever pitch as far as polarization at that time. And you're in an industry that naturally muzzles people that don't agree with you. Somebody like her, who is more strong-willed, obviously a conservative. I used to be like, is she like, what is she? She like, I've seen like she likes posts from like Turning Point USA and all this. Fine, she's a conservative, and that does suck that they have to deal with that type of thing. But to me, it's the hypocrisy of the other side. But I've also come to understand, if you guys follow the account on Instagram, like Defiant L's,
oh my God.
What you'll notice is that they don't care that they're hypocritical. They don't care that they contradicted themselves, because they do fall into that camp that believe the statement, there is no truth but power. So they don't care if they say something 10 minutes earlier that contradicts what they just said, because it's not about what they said before. It's about who they can reach with what they just posted, and contradictions be damned. And I think to somebody like that, where you're more principled and you have strong beliefs on certain issues that you try your best not to contradict yourself, I would imagine that that's infuriating to see it unevenly punished amongst people when they're just allowed to spew garbage, and then you're criticized for even the slightest pushback to something like that. Thank you.
Had you not seen the pressure and polarization mount to that fever pitch, as you said, in 2020 and 2021, I don't know if Gina Carano ever would have spoken out politically had that not happened. And I don't think that would have been a violation of your conscience to just not speak out politically if that's not your profession and it's not what you're called to do. Yeah. I don't think everyone should do that. I think if you hold views that go against the grain with the rest of Hollywood, but you're rising up in the ranks in that industry, maybe it's the smart decision to keep those views to yourself. And as long as they don't try to compel you to say something that you disagree with, that you believe is a falsehood,
do you remember
then keep it to yourself, and then you'll be able to have more influence.
Yeah. Do you remember during the election cycle, Twitter got really mad at Chris Pratt for not going to like a Marvel fundraiser for Biden, and then like they find out weeks later, like he's like I wasn't even invited. They rake him over the coals. He's like, he's an alt-right Yahtzee, and he's like, yeah, they didn't, because they probably knew that he wasn't going to go anyways. Right. But still, like they hold you to a different standard, and it's weird because it is absolutely true. Like one of the things a lot of people were pointing out when this happened, and they were asking her to put her pronouns in her bio, there was all sorts of cast members on The Mandalorian that didn't have their pronouns in their bio. The problem was, when she got hired, they're like, oh my God, look at a strong, independent woman. She is going to be great for our cause. And then they found out that she doesn't exactly fit that same narrative off screen that she was portraying on screen. So they got mad at her. And, Twitter is full of all sorts of unbridled pain and mental illness, and that's the way of the world. I just want to point out that this is what Dean Cain had said. He was on Newsmax, so take with that what you will. It says, there are lots of people who are conservative in Hollywood. They just don't get any recognition, said the actor. They don't get talked to, and they certainly don't speak up for fear of being canceled. I understand that. He also revealed that some aspiring Hollywood actors who lean right have quietly reached out to him for advice. Younger actors quietly come to me all the time and they go, hey man, I love what you have to say and I agree 100%. I just can't say anything because I want to work. And I understand that, Cain recalled. For me, I'm at a certain age. My kid is 22 now. I have traveled the world. I have seen so much and I feel remiss to not speak my mind. That's always the thing, right? We talk about how once you've made your money, it's a lot easier to speak out. But for the younger, I love whenever Kevin Sorbo says, I'm from Minnesota, and Kevin Sorbo is totally from Minnesota. And it's just his Twitter is just the most it's just he made his Hercules money, and Dean Cain made his Superman and the Adventures of Superman and Lois money or whatever, Lois and Clark. Sorry. It's just, I expect it from these guys, but it would be nice if some of the younger people spoke up too. But you also understand, then you're pushed off to the Daily Wire. You're pushed off. What was the other
Not
one?
to rag on them, but it is a ghettoized corner
Epic
of
flicks.
Entertainment right now, and it's cool that they're trying to do that. But when Terror on the Prairie is on this alternative platform that not a lot of people pay for, then
well, a lot of people do, just not in comparison to
Netflix. Yeah. It's not a lot of people. It's noticed.
So I give her a lot of credit for for sticking to her beliefs and to not giving in to that. I would like to see more people do that, but I also understand 110% where they come off choosing not to, because at a certain point you kind of just understand that the world works the way it works. Maybe that's the world's beat you down, but you accept that. Look, I'm in an industry where I'm going to be held to a different standard for my beliefs, but maybe, like you said, make your money in that industry, have more influence by being able to be around people, right? And affect things in that way by having strong opinions that are well thought out. Maybe you could, if you find people that are more amenable to your point of view, you can discuss more things with people openly there, and you can reach more people than if you get pushed to one corner of the digital space and you become a pariah of sorts. You're not reaching as many people that way.
I'm sure that in Hollywood, behind closed doors, there are fellow travelers that we don't know about, and
we've got like AA meetings, like conservatives.
Yeah, they have like specific.
Hi,
like
Gina.
they know each other and who they are and what they stand for, but strategically stay silent on what they believe.
They've got their own Facebook chats or Facebook groups or Instagram.
They've got their own
chats.
Telegram.
Yes,
or like Signal or something.
Wasn't that the thing Adam Carolla said was basically you could find out who's conservative in Hollywood and entertainment because they shut up. They don't say anything.
They don't say anything.
Whoever, like,
I mean, it's not even if you're
like
conservative or not. Like Margot Robbie, for instance, is not known to go on political tirades. I'm sure they bait her to do so constantly, and they would love to have headlines about Margot Robbie, slamming the incels. But she doesn't do that because she has some sense about showmanship and having some dignity as an entertainer.
I think that'll change as she gets old. Like I look at Scarlett Johansson now, who keeps talking about sexism after she's made her money being...
How old is she?
She's in her mid-30s.
I mean, that's not that far off from Margot Robbie's age. They're about the same age.
Yep. So
it just depends on your temperament, your personality, how brainwashed you are.
Maybe because Margot Robbie's not American, she sees it a little bit differently.
Because especially, what is she, New Zealander or Australian? Okay, if you're like Australian, you grow up on the entire other side of the planet, and weirdly, American media is just very disproportionately relevant over there.
Yeah.
She might just feel like it's, all that needs to be said has been said on every side, and I don't need to add my point of view, even if it's not conservative or, centrist. Maybe she's left-wing, and she probably is. It's cool that you don't feel like preaching to people all the time, and you don't think that your point of view needs to be heard.
That's kind of my
it's just basic humility.
Whenever I read something that I want to comment on, I'm just like, does anybody really care what I have to say on Instagram?
Generally assume that what you're about to say has been said already, probably in a more articulate way.
That's literally my take on everything when we're like digitally. I'm like, it doesn't take 5 minutes to type this out. Is anybody really going to care 5 minutes later? Like I said, it's the picture of the old man in a hospital bed on his deathbed. I wish I had spent more time arguing with people on the internet, said no one ever.
I say, if you're going to add in your 2 cents on the internet, it should be a joke and not a take.
Yes.
We don't need your takes, but we do need jokes.
We need more humor.
More memes.
The world needs a lot more humor. That is absolutely true.
Stop taking Twitter so seriously.
That is the pro move. Take everything on Twitter less serious. You'll have a better time.
Treat Twitter like a joke.
There was a comment from the Newsweek article. It says, this article points out that the meme shared by Gina Carano and Susan Sarandon originated from a post put out by the Auschwitz Memorial, and its point is to be tolerant of neighbors because normalizing hatred for irrational reasons once led to very bad things. The Holocaust did not start with concentration camps and gas chambers. It started with intolerance. For Lucasfilm to twist that into something anti-Semitic is about the stupidest and most ignorant things I have ever seen. Neither one of them deserves to be fired. People need to be smarter and think about the meaning of these words. It's all about perspective, right? The people who don't like Gina Carano can absolutely, use your postmodern view of the world to twist anything anyone says into something negative if you look at it hard enough. The internet is designed to be a deconstructionist tool, right? So what you actually meant was... That's what people say to everything. When you argue with someone online, they're not looking at what you're actually saying. They're going to deconstruct what you said so that it fits whatever their viewpoint is. And that's based on their preconceived notion of who you are.
I just think it's funny that almost 2 years out from Gina Carano's eventful exit from mainstream Hollywood, she doesn't even need to say anything anymore, and people will just create reasons to get mad at her all over again.
She's got a great Instagram, like her Instagram. It's like, it's really funny too, because like most of the stuff she posts is really like kind of like wholesome type stuff. She posts like reposts political takes from people and stuff like that. Another way that I found that a lot of them they get like, Twitter is full of people who just have so much time on their hands. Like, look at who this person's following. I'm like, dude, don't you have a job, kids, friends, a bike, a car, something to do with your time that's not like weirdly stalking people that will never meet you and that you will never meet, all because what, they disagree with you about something as irrelevant as political beliefs. I say irrelevant because it's like, in the grand scheme of things, I have a lot of friends that I disagree with about politics, but in the real world, you look at each other's humanity. You try to, right? Like, I've found that I've had friends that I've lost because they don't agree with stuff they think I've said, which I've never actually said, because how would they know? But like you said earlier, just stay silent. There are people who take silence for some type of confirmation beliefs.
Or violence.
Exactly. So
yeah.
It is what it is. But as usual, if Hollywood had only had double standards, that would be the only standards they have. That's all it is.
Let's go to Super Chats.
Let's do it.
Call Me Snow Possum said, have you ever heard a Jew refer to themselves as victims, or is it always survivors, or is that just me?
Are we talking about actual survivors of the Holocaust?
It depends. Look at Ethan Klein. He likes to play both sides of the fence.
Does he?
Oh
In
my
what way?
God. Well, so he came out. He
He
criticized.
got suspended from Twitter recently?
Yeah, he criticized Ben Shapiro. Oh, excuse me. He made the messed up joke, which, fair enough. You know, a lot of people were saying he shouldn't have got banned in the first place. That's a separate
Ben
argument.
Shapiro said he shouldn't have been banned in the first place.
Ben Shapiro said he shouldn't have been banned. But I mean, you support the cancel culture thing the whole time, and then you yourself get canceled by your own rules, and then you start to say, well, it's the white supremacist, and it's because Ben Shapiro, blah, blah, blah. Come on, dude. You can't have it both ways.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they never actually think about it long enough to understand that the rules will absolutely be used. You know, what's the saying? Liberals get the bullet too.
Yeah.
That's the say. Like,
Don't get clipped.
Well, I'm saying that's what they. But let's say that's what they. You know, just because they come for you last doesn't mean they're not going to come for you.
Right.
You'll be undone by your own.
Ethan Klein has openly called for violence
Several
on YouTube.
times.
Like,
Several times, yeah.
Yeah, he's not smart about that. I don't know if he's trying to be, but he's a favorite of Mrs. Susan Wojcicki. I don't know how to say her last name.
Yeah.
Wojcicki?
That was a terrible character arc, man. Ethan Klein used to be funny. I'm sorry.
Looking back, I don't even think his old videos were funny. Like, now that I'm looking back at him,
You might be like, maybe that's more of like a millennial thing. Like, more,
Maybe, yeah.
millennials hold us. I
was
never
like
cared
watching
for him, but-
YouTube at the time when he
Yeah.
was actually relevant, and it just isn't good content.
Yeah. Yep. Well, it's like
He made a giant vape once, and
Well, people-
like, what else?
He went to
What's
like
your-
a long form podcast though, right?
Yes.
Like they
Yeah.
said that he was better designed to make scripted content that worked better than him just off the cuff.
I liked his podcast with Trisha Paytas,
Oh, God.
Frenemies, but also I think they had a toxic friendship, and it was doomed from the very start.
Well,
but I
he's a-
enjoyed it while it lasted.
He's a clout chaser. That's all he does now.
Yeah.
He
That's
likes to
true.
expose people for whatever.
Yeah, but that's not to say Trisha Paytas isn't also a clout
I don't even
chaser.
know who she is, honestly.
Well, I recommend for anyone who hasn't watched that podcast. It's great. Caper2X said, I suggest everyone check the emergency awesome review of Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumanium. Is that how you say it?
Quantumania.
Quantumania. Detailed an excellent perspective of their place in the MCU. Make mine Marvel.
I just don't care.
Caper2X is just going to be on
I love
the
you, buddy.
MCU bandwagon
I love you,
until
buddy.
the very end.
I will
man.
say there's some beautiful visuals in that trailer, but like,
Really? Because a lot of people were commenting that the CGI was just like trash.
there was one shot in particular that I really liked, but in general, you know, Paul Rudd's fine. I do feel like Paul Rudd has been kind of like sidelined in his own series. Like the other funny part was like I was looking for a logo earlier, and I was like, you know how hard it was to find anything that actually said Ant-Man? It was all Quantumania in enormous letters. The rest of it, like anything with Ant-Man in it, was like this big, and you couldn't read any of
because
it.
it's an ant.
Yes. Well, I don't think that's what's
as big
their
as an
point,
ant.
but yeah. Yep.
Hobbit said, "Here's to more political incorrectness."
Well, that's we can only hope, right? Like when we get clipped out of context, we're even more politically incorrect here.
Oh yeah. Please don't do that, guys.
Yeah.
Don't clip us. Caper2X said, "Mary, you're missing the elephant in the room. Gina is a conservative woman. The media tend to be particularly vicious towards them. And POC, please? What?
I mean,
what does this
I
mean?
don't think at the time she was it's not like she declared herself a conservative before all
COVID
that happened.
red pilled her.
No,
I think I remember
And
her saying
I think that actually conservative men are treated way worse than conservative women
so?
on the internet,
Oh
for
my-
sure.
Oh,
For sure.
I thought they were just talking about in general Hollywood.
I mean, conservatives in Hollywood obviously are treated badly, but conservative women just in general
They just leave them alone.
have it way easier than conservative men by far.
Who's
There
an
are more
example?
consequences for political incorrectness if you're a man.
Yeah.
It's just true.
There's a whole there's a whole world of like Instagram conservative women that just make like takes on.
It's rather bland.
Yeah, well,
That's fine.
They find their own. There's this one. Her name's it's like something Dahlia, and she does this amazing Kamala Harris impression, and she looks kind of like Kamala Harris. So the whole video is like her, where she's like, yeah, yeah, and then
Oh,
she just talks, and
no.
then
I hate
and then
the
Hyena
laugh.
laughs every 2 seconds, and it's really she does the head, but she's like, it's really good. But like in general, yeah, like the men are kind of held to maybe a different standard.
And in a
but
way,
in
maybe
Hollywood,
that's because of some assumption that we have still that men are more credible for what they say.
Yeah.
They have to be held accountable and women shouldn't be. But
Well, they always
also
go.
there's. Oh, go ahead.
They always go towards the emasculating men part.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
You know that seems to be the main go-to.
Also, let's point out that there's probably in a world where there's far more liberal women than conservative women in Hollywood, that number dwindles down to essentially Gina Carano and like
maybe a few
and-
other.
and then-
I
and
don't
maybe
know,
some
Candace Cameron Bure.
Candace Cameron Bure, and that's basically it.
Yeah.
Like there's some like I should start a list. I should start a list. But like there's a few I'm sure, and then you can definitely make that assumption based on like who doesn't say something or who like. Or what was it? The Bayonetta voice actress who like retweeted something about Blue Lives Matter, and then everybody turned on her.
Yeah.
You can't win.
Yeah.
You can't win.
Everyone has one thing they've said or done that is ugly, and it's all a matter of hiding it if you're a celebrity.
The internet was a horrible idea, man. Your life in transcript was a horrible idea.
Regatan said, as always, Chris, play Elden Ring.
Do it.
I do play Elden Ring. Well, I haven't played
He's
it
going to
in
be
like,
so happy.
in like 6 months because I had a lot of stuff going on. But yeah, I played all the Dark Souls and FromSoft.
Well, finally.
Regatan is
Regatan
dancing.
has been like asking every guest to play Elden Ring.
Oh, it's awesome. It's tremendous.
So
Regatan is dancing right now.
he'll be celebrating that. Hobbit said, I suspect Regatan likes Elden Ring.
I suspect that as well.
Yes.
I am not an investigator or a detective. I'm no Sherlock Holmes, but I've come to the conclusion that Regatan is in fact a fan of Elden Ring.
Yeah. White Thunder said, great show, guys. Beautiful like always, Mary. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you to if any of the new subscribers, you were on IRL last night, and that
I was,
always
yeah.
does well for new people tuning in, so I hope they are watching and enjoying.
Yeah, I always feel like I don't have enough takes on foreign policy, but I'm kind of in my element here. So
You're like, what, you don't have something to say about the war in Ukraine and whatever Bill Gates is doing these
it's like
days?
if I did have something to say, I certainly would get in trouble for it. So
She's like, you guys don't want to hear those takes. You think you do, but you don't. All right, guys, we're moving on. So this is very, very good news, and I do mean that. Henry Cavill confirms that he is back as Superman for future DCEU movies. And I'm going to play this clip here. It's great. I'm sorry. In a world full of people, of celebrities that hate you, be a Henry Cavill. Seriously. So this is the clip. Can we hear it? Yes.
Hey everyone, I wanted to wait until the weekend was over before posting this because I wanted to give you all a chance to watch Black Adam. But now that plenty of you have, I wanted to make it official that I am back as Superman. And the image you see on this post and what you saw in Black Adam are just a very small taste of things to come. So there's a lot to be thankful for, and I'll get to that in time, but I want to thank you guys most of all. Thank you for your support, and thank you for your patience. I promise it will be rewarded.
There was a comment on one, like, our video about Black Adam, where it said, like, why, like, isn't it sad that, like, the we're so beaten down by just how awful everyone is in Hollywood, that just making a movie that doesn't call you names and having stars in it that don't call you names is all it takes to, like, be accepted by by fans these days. They just don't want to be abused by you.
I mean, is it that people want Man of Steel again, or is it that they want 2013 again?
No, they want Henry Cavill. I don't believe they want 2013. In fact, if anything, I don't think they want Man of Steel. They want him to actually be in a good Superman movie. They don't give a crap about Man of Steel. They give a crap about Henry Cavill in this role. He's kind of he's their version of Ryan Reynolds and being their Deadpool, and, like, they don't see anyone else playing Deadpool. Henry Cavill is Superman right now, and I don't see anyone replacing him.
In a way, I'm happy that this is happening because now he won't be James Bond.
That's true. We both agree.
But also, it is weird that an Englishman would be playing Superman.
That never sat right with me.
That doesn't bother me.
Yeah, it doesn't sit right with me.
He doesn't a fine American accent. He's done plenty of. There's plenty of actors that could. Didn't Robert Downey Jr. played Sherlock Holmes, and he's American. So you know what?
Man.
Take that,
Good for you.
incels. That's
Whoa. Okay.
I was like, that doesn't bother me. Like, it's acting. If we're gonna be like, oh well, they don't have to be exactly like the character. It's called acting, guys. Now, it would be funnier if he did the British accent. That would be mean. That's
Also,
truth, justice, in the American
way.
Let's go. Oh, speaking of which, guys, I'm not going to get completely off topic, but I do want to point out that they brought that back for Battle of the Super Sons, which is an animated, where Superman brings back truth, justice, in the American way, which they had previously gotten rid of during Superman, Son of Kal-El, with where Jonathan Kent takes over as Superman, and his entire identity becomes about being bisexual, and he doesn't actually do anything cool because Tom Taylor felt like he didn't have to write anything cool because he felt like that was enough of a story. And they got rid of truth, justice in the American way for truth, justice, and a better tomorrow, which just sounds like a really creepy, like, insurance ad saying, or something. Like, it sounds like
a better tomorrow for the common good.
Yeah, like, that's a creepy ad.
Assassinate the others.
Exactly. So we got that. We got that saying back. We've got Superman coming back to Henry Cavill. There's a pendulum swinging back, folks.
How do you guys feel about the theory? Perhaps the fact that Henry Cavill was just ousted from the role and from that whole, like, world for a while, simply because he didn't fit the, agenda that they wanted superhero films to be pushing at the time, going into the mid 2010s. How do you guys feel about that? Because there was that post that he made on Instagram years ago where he tagged, like, literally everyone.
I have that here. Did I send that?
He tagged. No, you didn't. I was just looking at this.
I have
earlier.
That pulled up here.
But
yeah.
He tagged Chris Pratt, Gal Gadot,
right?
Gadot, Ryan Reynolds, Chris Hemsworth, Ben Affleck, Robert Downey Jr., Mark Ruffalo. He tagged Jason Momoa. He tagged Hugh Jackman, Margot Robbie, Zoe Saldana, Dave Bautista, Vin Diesel, Paul Bettany. He called for, like, literally everyone, and no one responded to his post except for Jason Momoa.
He's so pure. Like, they say it in here, like, he's too pure for this world, man.
Why did they do that to him? Why was he basically cyberbullied?
I don't know.
Why would you hate this man?
It says here, Henry is a true nerd, and I love him because of that. And somebody says he's a nerd with Greek god genetics. Like I said, there's that video of him putting a computer together that's got, like, millions of views because he's just got enormous...
I don't know if he's as much of a nerd as they would like to believe, but...
Look, when he got hired to play Superman, he missed the call because he was in the middle of a World of Warcraft game. When he got the call...
I never knew that.
Yeah,
don't you think that's a little bit of a Bill Murray bartending moment? A little bit of a quirky avant-garde moment?
I'm going to just be contradictory to myself and say no.
So what if I contradict myself? I contain multitudes, says Brett Dasovic.
I don't give a crap if I disagree with, sure, when Bill Murray does it, I think it's planned and Hollywood spin. When Henry Cavill does it, I believe it just because I said so. And
poor Henry Cavill.
You can't make me.
In his post, he captioned it on National Superhero Day. Fly your colors today, brothers and sisters. It's National Superhero Day. I personally want to thank all of you guys and gals for keeping us so entertained and setting such a fantastic example for superhero fans, young and old, around the world. And then all Jason Momoa commented was, love ya.
I'm sure that too, but I mean, I see a bunch of
this poor man.
I would like to think that my cynical side says these people just see it as a paycheck, but there's plenty of names in there that don't look at it that way. Hugh Jackman absolutely loved the role of Wolverine. Robert Downey Jr. very clearly took the role of Tony Stark seriously. He turned his life around playing that role. A lot of those actors are very much embrace those characters and don't think of them as less so. So I don't know if I buy that. Remember, Ben Affleck was a very similar thing. The first thing he did with his first big movie check was build a bat cave in his first house. He had a life-size Batman statue, so to get to play Batman was a big deal to him. But I just think that, in a world now where the number one thing working against these studios, and I truly do believe this, I don't think it's wokeness as much as it is hiring people that hate the people they're making stuff for, right? Yes. Stop hating your fans and people will put up with mild wokeness. I'm not saying that make everything She-Hulk, but I'm saying that you can insert your stupid, lame, poorly done identity politics a little bit, as long as the people aren't being told that they're awful people and that this movie was made to spite them.
That's certainly part of it, but not the whole story, because I think they just needed to bring back their flagship characters and the people who play them.
And they do. So
Henry Cavill obviously returning, and now they have Gal Gadot, who will appear in the Shazam sequel. They've got Ben Affleck about to appear in Aquaman.
The Flash is still out here.
The Flash is
hopefully being kept away from playgrounds and
uncertain future for the Flash. But a lot of people feel like DC is winning because they're just doing the things that are business smart. One of which is not hating your fan base, obviously.
Well, winning is I
don't believe that.
Let's
I don't
get
believe
through
that.
At least two
Some
movies.
people are saying that and getting ahead of themselves. That's all I'm saying.
Let's get through at least two movies that aren't awful.
People are getting their hopes up.
Let's get through two movies that don't absolutely blow.
Yeah, Black Adam.
To be fair,
I think it blows.
We're going to disagree there. But to be fair, Aquaman was extremely meh, but passable and fine. Shazam, I would say, was on the better end of good. But they're not. They don't have that big breakout hit yet, right? They don't have that movie that. Oddly enough, I think the Suicide Squad, the Suicide Squad soft reboot should have been that for them, but they were just dumb and released it day and date.
The first Suicide Squad movie weirdly had a lot of cultural impact, even though it sucked.
Oh yeah, in a weird way.
I don't even know why.
It was a textbook case of studio interference, meaning that movie was. If you watch the very first trailer, the Comic-Con 2014 or 2016 trailer for the first David Ayer Suicide Squad movie, it's very clear from that trailer, from the music choice, from the editing choice, from the color design, from the color correction design, that it was supposed to be a much darker movie.
And a lot of people went to it to see Jared Leto's Joker, and he got a cameo, basically.
And
I think they cut down his parts last minute, seemingly.
He was supposed to
change the tone.
Yes, because the stuff that would have been included would have been about the abusive relationship between him and Harley Quinn, which would have been very hard to show in a movie. We're like, hey, listen to all this top 40 music we're playing, guys. Rad. Here's the Joker abusing Harley Quinn. In between top 40 songs.
Yeah. So a lot of people went to the theaters to see that, expecting one thing, getting another, but it still made money for them because you don't factor in watch time if people walk out of the theater.
So we have this other article that says that Superman's former Warner Brothers executive Toby Emmerich reportedly declared Henry Cavill persona non grata. And it says that everyone knows the Black Adam spoiler by now. We don't need to mention it again. So it says, according to Post Geek Singularity, Cavill's manager, who also works with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Remember, he will never just be Dwayne Johnson to me. Pointed out to studio bosses that a cameo role would have served as one of the actor's contractually obligated appearances. As a result, Cavill obviously wanted to be compensated appropriately. But former Warner Brothers executive Toby Emmerich didn't agree. In that cameo for Shazam, they ended up just doing the cameo, but doing it from the shoulders down, so you couldn't see the face, so they didn't have to actually have Henry Cavill do it. And so after that, he basically said Henry Cavill is now persona non grata. He's not going to play ball with the studio. He'll never be Superman again. That just doesn't that sound like exactly something you see some
seem like the problem.
Coked out. But I'm saying, doesn't that sound like something he's saying? He's got contractual obligations and needs to be paid accordingly in relation to his star power and what he brings to that cameo. But can't you just see some coked out studio executive just sweating balls while he's like on the phone? It's like, if he doesn't play ball, he's never gonna play Superman again. And he like slams the phone down. Doesn't that just sound like something he would say as he's like loosening his tie because he's like literally having like an aneurysm?
Like his face is beet red.
Yeah. And then of course Walter Hamada pushed back, and they wanted to do. In this article, they talk about wanting to do the Calvin Ellis Superman, which is not accurate from what I understand. The point was that they were going to do a regular Clark Kent Superman, but just race swap him, which made no sense. So I don't know if that article's wrong or my information is out of date, but they were talking about how replacing Henry Cavill for Ta-Nehisi Coates Superman, which would obviously be different. So
I don't know if they were talking about replacing him, but that would have been just an outlier sort of character study film.
But they just kept putting Cavill back in the movies. And then the worst part is like you have these people and it feels like they do their best to keep them off the line. They want to do the work. He wants to do these movies. He's like, yes, sign me up. I will make this movie. And they're like, how about we like argue with Cyborg and we hire Joss Whedon and we ruin these movies and we do literally anything but the most obvious thing, which is just to make a good Superman movie. Theoretically, should not be that hard. 10 years ago, I think the argument would have been that it's hard to make a good Superman movie because Superman's a Boy Scout and there's like a lot of like, it does feel like in Hollywood, there's that weird anti-American sentiment where they don't want to make a movie that portrays America in any type of good light, even if that means Superman being portrayed as like a hero for America rather than a worldwide hero. And now I think that there's absolutely being a cultural shift where there's money to be made and people are like, look, can you just not tell me that the country I live in is awful and give me a standard superhero movie? But
it's not even just an anti-American sentiment, but an anti-male sentiment, an anti-white male sentiment that, pushed him out.
I mean, I don't know if that's true because they still did Batman versus Superman. They still did Batman.
But that was some weird failed attempt at subverting the narrative about Superman.
But they also did. Remember, they were supposed to do Cyborg as like the main character in the Justice League movie, and then the studio pushed back on that and like cut Cyborg's time down in that movie to next to nothing. And then when the Snyder Cut came out, you realize just how much time that character actually had. That doesn't seem to fit into that part of the narrative. It's like it's very, very all over the place and hard to understand. Like,
it could just be pure chaos and lack of leadership that leads to poor decision making.
More than likely, this is a case of just Warner Brothers. Remember, every time they announce something, I go, hold your horses. I get it. That sounds great, but Warner Brothers has a bad habit of making a bunch of announcements that are like, oh, everybody kind of likes this character right now. Yeah, we're going to make like 4 movies about this character and the TV show spinoff. And then
the scripts are already written.
And the scripts are already written. Oh, they're not? We'll just tell them that anyways. Like that's always what it feels like. There's never any type of solid leadership at Warner Brothers. So what David Zaslav is like, well, what makes money? Superman makes money. Superman is at the very least recognizable. Wonder Woman is recognizable. Batman is recognizable. They're still making the Blue Beetle movie, and I would argue that
I forgot about that.
Susan Sarandon is going to be in the Blue Beetle movie.
Okay.
So, it is what it is. But thank goodness that Henry Cavill is back because like with The Witcher when he was like the crappy really awful mainstream. I don't think it was Collider. I don't remember who did it, but some snarky reporter tried to bait him into saying something negative about the fans. Like, what do you think about all those toxic fans? And he's like, well, I don't think they're toxic. They're just passionate. But we always talk about how many of these celebrities get quoted out of context where like some piece of garbage reporters like, so what do you think about these evil alt-right misogynist toxic fans? Like, what are they supposed to say to that? Like, I support evil alt-right misogynist toxic
and then
fans.
if you preface that saying, I don't think they're toxic, they're just for the most part passionate, but there's a certain faction or like corner of certain fan bases that act this way, then they'll only clip or quote that thing you said that was negative. I don't think that's fair to them, but also like they know how the media works and how they spin things.
Look at the picture of Henry Cavill they use in this when they show the thing of him.
Pure smile.
It's
just like looking
hi,
for
everyone.
a crumb of validation or respect or recognition, and there was just none.
He's like, hi guys, and they're all just like, shut up.
Hey, remember me? I exist.
Like, he's such a good guy. Leave him alone. Leave the guy alone. I'm saying, look, could he be awful behind closed doors and just an absolute terror? Maybe, but I don't know. Hey, maybe it's a conspiracy. Remember, he dated Gina Carano. Maybe they're just like, screw him.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they dated back in like 2013.
That's funny.
So maybe they're just like, anybody that has anything to do with Gina Carano, we don't want anything to do with. Also, it could be part of like he did like an anti-Me Too thing kind of where he was like, yeah, dating right now is insane because I don't know what women, hoes be tripping, basically. I mean, hoes be tripping, like in a British accent.
No, hoes be tripping. And
so, yes, we support more Henry Cavill. Absolutely. Let's go super chats.
Hobbit said, careful, Brett. The more lists of different women you make, the higher chance you end up on a list of your own.
I don't want to be on anybody's list, so maybe I won't make that list.
Maybe we'll just have a list of women in Hollywood to not listen to ever. Jamila Jamil is going to be on it. Kathy Griffin is going to be on it.
There's so many. Alyssa Milano. If that's
Schumer.
still a Hollywood. Yeah, like the Alyssa Milano one is sad too because she's actually like she used to be a fairly good actress, kind of, sort of, maybe. She worked a lot with Nathan Fillion. I like Nathan Fillion, so.
Rascal King said, the Rascal King, with many exclamation marks.
And that is why we love you, Rascal King.
Yes. Nathan Settlemeyer said, he's great. Shut down Witcher production to play Cyberpunk. That's something I would do.
Well, I mean, I hope everybody got paid.
Rega Tan said, finally, someone plays Elden Ring. Now what?
It's like a dog chasing a car. He's finally achieved it, and he's like, guys, I have no idea what to do now.
So you played Elden Ring.
It's like the Joker. He's like, I'm a dog chasing a car. It's like I wouldn't know what to do with it if I caught it. Mm-hmm. He's like, I finally found somebody that plays Elden Ring. Now what? No clue.
Center Conservative Mom 98 said, my toddler just called Brett that Tim Pool.
This is a baseball hat, not a beanie.
You tell that toddler.
Would you kindly smash that like button? Would you kindly smash that like button?
The Last of My Kind said Batman was supposed to be like a demon in the first Suicide Squad movie. Think of that first scene in Batman versus Superman when we see Batman, but they deemed it too dark.
Yeah. I like the part where he's in the rafters in Batman versus Superman. Yeah, and like that's funny. And they wasted that cameo too because like they showed the Batman in the trailer for the Suicide Squad. They didn't need to. Like, you didn't need to at all. You had a lot going for it. Like, people were already excited just to see the first on-screen live-action depiction of Harley Quinn. There was no need to give away that cameo. I remember the funniest, like, I was more like, I don't use Twitter anymore, but at that time I would read a lot of the posts like, why is the Joker driving like a Lamborghini? He would not drive. I don't remember what he was driving, but they're like, he would not drive that.
That's so unrealistic.
They're like, why does he have grills? And I'm just like, I get it.
Why?
Like,
I was that guy on Twitter.
You were that guy? Yeah.
But the whole point was that he's supposed to be, a gangster mafia dude.
Yeah, and then like his voice and that is just like, there's like, I wonder why nobody could like this portrayal. And then they play the clip where it goes hunka hunka. They're like,
I just thought it was funny. I thought it was funny and entertaining because it was so like
not
Yeah, it was
Heath
so
Ledger.
not what you would expect, and
Yeah.
it was so not Heath Ledger, right? Like, you can't try to replicate that, so make your own way.
It's a sad too because I enjoyed Will Smith as Deadshot in that movie.
He was solid.
And that's there's another good example of like there's a race swap that nobody cared about because Will Smith has star power. Like they're fine with it. Like not they. I'm sure there's plenty of people here who would not approve because a lot of people don't like that. But Will Smith brings star power to that role, so people are a little bit more forgiving of it because he's got the Will Smith charm.
Well, I'm not
that
a DC
he doesn't
guy.
have anymore. Yeah, I mean,
Is
Will
Deathstroke-
Smith does not have charm
like now they
anymore.
see him.
It's like they put a chip in him.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Now he's like
He's gone.
in the role. He's like he pretends every person that he's taking on is like his wife.
That might look like Will Smith, but it is just a husk of who Will Smith once was.
I did not see the new Bad Boys movie.
Oh, that was really widely loved.
I've heard that it was
actually.
very, very good. I need to watch that. Also, guys, I'm going to give you a show recommendation right now. I only made it through the first 3 seasons of this show, and then like I just was poor for a long time and couldn't afford any streaming services. Go watch Bosch on Amazon Prime, starring Titus Welliver and Lance Reddick. And a bunch of other there's a lot of really good actors in that show, and it's based on a Michael Connelly book series about a detective. And if you want a modern day show that really, really excels at producing atmosphere in what is basically like a modern day noir, which is played heavily through with like the song selection. It's a lot of jazz, a lot of shots at night, the house that he lives in the Hollywood Hills. It's absolutely incredible. And I'm like, it's part of why I was up till 5 a.m. last night. It's like my sleep schedule has just been awful lately. And the worst thing you can do when you've been up late is then to start something that you know you can't fall asleep to. And I started rewatching season 2 and realized that I didn't remember much of it. So it's like I'm watching it again for the first time, and it's so good. The one mistake they made is they hired 2 actors. The lead actor with Titus Welliver is a guy named Jamie Hector, who you guys might know from The Wire. And they have this other character in there who plays like Lance Reddick's son, and I swear it's his twin. It's this actor's twin, so I keep feeling like I'm seeing the same actor play 2 different roles, but they're not. It's very, very weird. But everyone should go and check out Bosch on Amazon Prime.
Bobcat said, Mary, a list of people in Hollywood not to listen to would essentially just be a list of people in Hollywood. I think there's something in the water. Very true.
Is it that, or they just attract a certain art nerds? They're just art nerds. They're just theater nerds. That's what they are. They're theater nerds with money.
But the theater nerds are all in New York, right?
They're all over.
But they're theater nerds who also act in film, right? Like
Yeah.
theater nerd is now a general term. It doesn't mean they just do theater.
Yeah.
It's just that they're nerds. They're nerds.
When
and
I was
they've got
in
money.
California,
That's never a good thing.
We had theater nerds because Los Angeles was like 45 minutes away.
Yeah.
We all remember like the way that theater kids acted in high school.
Oh my God, I
and
was
how
one
they
of
were
them.
like, it's just this insular culture within the school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That, like, they're just completely self-contained, and it's such a metaphor for like the way Hollywood is in relation to the rest of the country.
I went to high school with a girl who ended up working in Hollywood. She actually had a couple of decent roles and like guest roles in TV shows. I remember Stalker was a Dylan McDermott show. It only got 1 season. Dylan McDermott and Maggie Q, and it was actually really good. Think about like a show based on stalking and not on like a crime show based on catching stalkers.
That's cool.
Isn't it? Yeah, but it only got 1 season. And I saw this. I was watching this episode. I'm like, is that? I don't know to say her name here, but like, I was like, and then I had to look it up, and it was this girl that I went to high school with, and she was always kind of weird and cool, but now she hosts like she's like a radical feminist, and
We should get her on the show.
that she would not like
No?
the show. No.
We can reach out.
She would. I don't think she would approve of the show. I think you and her would be at loggerheads, as they say.
That's why people want to see it.
yes.
Dragon's Challenge 1001 said, dang it, Brett, I smashed the like button. Now it's asking me for an intimacy coordinator.
Well, you forgot to ask for consent before you smash. That's a problem.
You forgot to gently tap rather than smash.
Would you kindly?
T-Bone said, Brett, who wins a death battle, Dr. Fate or Kang?
That's a good question. I'm not.
Is Kang
big
supposed
enough.
to be like the new Thanos or
Kang,
something?
yeah, Kang is going to be you're a Marvel guy, right? Like
More of a Marvel guy, yeah.
Kang is going to be the Thanos in Phase 4 and 5 that we're going to see, but we'll see. A a lot of people love that Dr. Fate performance, but the Critical Drinker, you guys, if you haven't seen the Critical Drinker's video on his analysis of Black Adam, it's really, really good, and I like it. But one thing he points out is that there wasn't enough time given to Dr. Fate and Hawkman to really make the sacrifice feel like it was worth it. He said what they could have done is they could have cut out Atom Smasher and Cyclone and just focused more on those two, and it would have made more sense at the end. Would anything else
But
have
they
been
had
lost?
to appeal to Gen Z with a romance subplot.
Yes, with the
Perfect.
with the crazy looking people. Yep.
Texas Tack Talk said, "Bad Boys for Life."
Saying tack talk that quickly was very good. I would have screwed that up.
Tack
Tack talk.
It's like TikTok.
I need to see Bad Boys for Life. Maybe I wonder if that's on a streaming.
A lot of
service.
people felt like it did justice to the franchise.
Well, I mean, have you ever seen the original Bad Boys? If you want to see if you want to see a politically incorrect movie, watch the first.
I
two
probably
Bad Boys
have
movies.
without paying attention to it, actually. I need to stop watching YouTube said, "Don't call them theater nerds. They're even worse.
Yeah. Well,
They're criminals.
they're theater nerds with money, which is never a good.
Don't give them power."
All right, guys, we're moving on. We are going to talk about the trailer for Ant-Man Quantumania, which, I don't really... Do you care about Ant-Man? Do you care about Ant-Man?
I
You
don't.
care about it?
I might in
but
the near future. Who knows?
But we do care about is the fact that Bill Murray is in this movie, and Bill Murray has been in the news of late, and people have not appreciated
I
our
didn't
takes on
mean
Bill
it
Murray.
earlier when I said he reared his ugly head, okay? I think I need to partially vindicate our stance on Bill Murray.
They're like our lowest rated videos on YouTube are anything Bill Murray.
Yeah, because we never intended to bully the guy. He's just, he's just a quirky old avant-garde manic pixie old man.
Derek, yeah.
And I think I defended him more than you did, Brett. Like I said, I
think
totally
you're the one they would
see-
agree with. It's probably my take that it all felt manufactured.
He gave a settlement to this production assistant, which is kind of an admission of guilt that
Ever so slight. They might have taken issue with our framing of straddled and paid off.
Look, we are in the business of clicks, okay?
Fake news.
He did factually straddle this production assistant and try to make out with her through the barrier of their COVID masks. And I said, I can totally understand from his deranged old wizard brain perspective how that would be funny, because he's cracking a joke at his own expense for being old and out of touch and sexless. He's also cracking a joke at the expense of overreaching COVID protocols that are enforced on film sets, especially at the time that this happened. And he probably had no idea that she had a problem with this until later on.
And they reference Gina Davis and the issue with the personal massager during
yes.
the ad.
The rest of it, I will say, he likely has a temper problem.
Yeah.
Okay? Let's not fully exonerate the man of everything he's been accused of. But he held a kid over a trash can and dropped him in head first. Let's just acknowledge that.
We get it. Seth Green isn't, you might not feel any sympathy for Seth Green, but I get it.
I don't either. I don't feel sympathy for Keke Palmer, who he allegedly, pulled her pigtail or something on
We never
set.
got any confirmation.
There's no confirmation on that, but allegedly Bill Murray pulled Keke Palmer's braid or her pigtail or something on set for being mortal as well.
And she is the biggest celebrity in the world in her own mind.
Right. She is an incomparable talent, according to Keke Palmer.
I literally rolled my eyes when I read that. Got a migraine.
So I totally get where people are coming from, where they're defending Bill Murray, because we're just tired of having to watch people apologize for tiny missteps or not making the right joke, and someone of a much older generation being held to the standards of the new generation in Hollywood, which is hypersensitive. That's totally true.
Let's look at this.
That being said,
So this is from Fandom Wire, and it says worst possible time for Bill Murray to enter the MCU. Fans disgusted to see Bill Murray, who faces allegations of abuse in the Ant-Man 3 trailer. Give me a break.
what was the reasoning though behind putting him in the trailer? Because I don't think this would be good timing to show that he's in the movie.
Isn't he a smaller role too? I looked up his character; it's pretty small.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
it's only been in like one comic before
Yeah.
this. So here's some of the takes. It says worst possible time for Bill Murray to enter the MCU. Somebody says effing insane that they put Bill Murray in the Ant-Man 3 trailer after all the allegations. What I mean, like, what are they talking? Like the allegations of being a dick. Okay.
Well, wait until it's not the being mortal accusations that are being brought up, but the Ant-Man 3 accusations where he does some other weird joke on the set.
Ant-Man shrinks and he holds him over a garbage can.
This happens all over again.
Yeah.
So he's touchy-feely, he's old, he's out of touch, he doesn't understand the, new social expectations of our day.
Here's from someone says, the Ant-Man trailer looks really good until you remember that this is a trailer to an Ant-Man film, and Bill Murray has been having a lot of recent sexual harassment allegations against him. It's like he was in it for like less than a second.
Yeah.
Like less than literally. You're right. Why would they? Like, why not wait till trailer 2 and maybe some of this has calmed down?
Maybe they just wanted the attention. I don't know, but
could be.
Most of the comments on the trailer were positive.
Yeah.
Completely ignored that he was in it.
Normal people don't know.
Yeah,
They don't care.
And also the people who do know about his situation are just in the interest of this movie doing well, are like, look over there, look at Paul Rudd.
We love Paul Rudd.
We love Paul Rudd. Look at the CGI. It's so well done.
And plus, let's face it, Marvel fans will follow them into the pits of hell. Caper 2X will be right there going to the movie no matter what, because people love Marvel. That's just the way the world is right now.
Yeah, but I did want to bring up that some people also said in the comments on the trailer that they're upset this is maybe going to be another Marvel film where the starring male character is sidelined by a female,
a strong
side character,
independent woman
who is a strong independent woman who don't need no man, namely
his
the
daughter,
Wasp
and his own daughter,
his own daughter.
So it says really bold of Marvel to showcase Bill Murray in the Ant-Man trailer after the sexual harassment scandal he just had. But then again, white men don't face accountability anyways. Was that the funny thing is, I don't remember anywhere in the phrasing did they use the language sexual harassment allegations. They just kind of described what happened in the situation.
Yeah,
It's
this
kinda
isn't much of a surprise anyway if you've been paying attention, because it was already reported that he would be in this movie.
Yeah.
Just not a lot of people remembered, and then you just see his face pop up in the trailer and you're like, oh, no.
I love the casual racism. It's the funniest part. They're just like, it's fine. They never did the same thing hold true for Aziz Ansari? Did they say the same thing to him when he got a directing role? Where they then again, I don't know where is he. He's American, I guess, but is he Indian American? Does he not face consequences because he's male?
Aziz Ansari?
Yeah, remember, because he got to make a movie. He got to direct a movie.
Well,
that Bill Murray got shut down.
The mistake that Aziz Ansari made was, I guess, having an awkward date.
But they will
That's
phrase
not the
it-
same thing as.
Oh yeah, they framed it as
They framed it unfairly, but also, in hindsight, people realized he was unfairly maligned, and that misconduct label was being used way too generously.
I don't know I think he just waited it out. I don't think people realized anything. I think he waited it out, and then he banked on a majority of people being like, "Who the hell is Aziz Ansari?"
Yeah,
they just didn't know who he was.
Really? I thought that a lot of people knew him from stand-up comedy.
Well,
you
and
know?
from
stand-up fans
Silicon
of comedy
Valley.
did,
Yeah.
but
So it's just I thought it was interesting mostly because they could have just left him out and then just put him in trailer 2 and all. Maybe they're like planning because there's going to be worse. Like they know that more allegations are coming or something, and they're just like, well, we better just soften the blow by getting this out of the way now.
Here's some bad comments on the trailer. Marvel really is dead after Endgame. The CGI, not surprised. Marvel is going downhill. That's bruh. Just one that says bruh.
Bruh.
That's Bill effing Murray. Let's be real here, guys. This isn't going to be good. Looks like Multiverse of Madness reskin. Another thing, Doctor Strange was sidelined in his own film by America Chavez and Wanda. And then in Thor Love and Thunder, he was sidelined by Jane Foster. Yep. It's just, they're rolling out all of these female characters in a franchise that is supposedly, you know, with a male character at the helm, right?
Well, yeah. Those are women. Women can't make big budget movies on their own.
It's insulting to both sides.
Let's face it.
You're insulting the women who are in the franchise because you say they can't succeed on their own in their own movies, and you're insulting the male characters that they can't have the recognition that they deserve having their own franchise.
They should have a scene in one of them where one of the women opens a pickle jar for Ant-Man. or he can't
just make it as on the nose as possible.
Like I said, women, everyone knows that no one would go see a movie with a woman in the lead. That's crazy.
Someone said, based on my deduction skills of what's been happening in the MCU so far, this story is going to be about how his daughter and all the girls save the day, and at the end, Ant-Man screws it up by making a deal with Kang.
Or no, he'll at the end, they'll save him at the end of the movie. He'll try to save the day.
I see this. The comment said that, let's hope it's better than Thor. And then someone responded, Thor was great. And then the next person said, insert goat scream number 27 here as a response. And then they were like, that wasn't a bad thing. One too many goat screams, and I was just done. It does boggle my mind that they can't find a way to just market a female-led movie that people actually want to see, because they don't know how to market. Thank you. They know how to market male characters. They don't know how to market female characters. Well, as soon as you make it about woman power, like they did with Captain Marvel, or even worse, emotional blackmail weird blackmail where they're like, well, if you don't go see this, you're not gonna understand what happens in Endgame, which everyone was stupid enough to believe, unfortunately. And then people feel like everything that's come after Endgame has just been filler content, and they're hoping that this is going to be an exception. And I don't know if that's going to live up to their expectations.
Actually, that brings me up to, I want to talk about something else. I want to talk about the fact that I found this article that says that if Phase 4 is the beginning of the end for the MCU, the numbers say otherwise. So basically they're saying that is it really the end of the line because the interest seems to be waning supposedly, and then they're saying that's not true.
Okay, but what comes next?
Exactly. So it says Marvel fatigue has been looming over Disney for some time now, but the entertainment empire has done their best to retain audience engagement and critical acclaim throughout Phase 4 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Despite some misses, the average Rotten Tomatoes rating, well, that's your first problem, and I'm going to point that out here, for the franchise's most recent productions are largely positive. Then they go down here and there's this clip from Culture Crave, and it shows you their top Rotten Tomato scores. What do you think that the problem with this is?
It's the critic scores.
It's the critic score. It is not the audience score. The funny part about this is the audience scores are in general high. They're not Marvel fans are gonna Marvel fan. They're gonna like what they like. But it's
a self-sustaining organism.
This shows a fundamental misunderstanding of what the problem is. So they say apparently the numbers tell them that Marvel isn't in trouble. Well, we have this article from a while back from Insider that says all 28 Marvel Cinematic Universe movies ranked by how much money they made at the global box office. What you will notice is that almost all of Phase 4 movies are very near the bottom here. So we've got Black Widow, number 26. We've got Eternals, number 25. We've got Shang-Chi, number 24. So you go all the way down here. Ant-Man and the Wasp, number 20. Of the top 10, only one is from Phase 4, and that's Spider-Man No Way Home, which isn't even a Marvel movie. It's a Sony movie, so they didn't keep all the money there. So we've got Captain Marvel. That was from the end of Phase 3, right? From Phase 3, right before Endgame. So you go down this list here. The interest isn't in the newer stuff. All of these movies that make money are either Avengers movies, a Spider-Man movie, which like I said, they don't get to keep all the money of, and Sony has a lot of say over what happens to that character. The rest of it is all other phases, and we've yet to see how an Avengers movie will fare without the likes of Tony Stark or Captain America. I guess you'd have Thor still, but you don't have those big draws that were part of those first 3 phases. I don't buy that the interest is any lower. I do believe that their natural desire to ruin the formula that works so well for them is causing them problems. Meaning, like when you make Eternals, nobody cares. Like even that one, that's like the lowest one rated from fans and critics. It's only at 45% from critics. Critics hated that movie. We've got that. And then also remember, we have fatigue because there's 900 TV shows that come out every 3 months.
That apparently you need to watch in order to understand what's going on in the movies, which is also ridiculous because it's not the same production value.
Yeah. Do you watch the movies?
I watch the legacy movies for sure.
Yes.
Legacy characters. I watch some of the newer ones, but like the Eternals and what was the other one? Shang-Chi.
Yeah.
My wife had to get me to watch Shang-Chi. Okay, I didn't care.
Did you watch Black Widow?
No.
I watched Black Widow, and when she was like fighting that villain Dreykov, it felt like she was like fighting an executive at Fox News.
It's also really funny too because that was like one of the more egregious early examples or recent examples, like gender swapping Taskmaster, which you just knew they were going to do. But
That's what they did in that movie?
Yeah, and it's also really funny too because
did.
it's very clearly a male stunt double, and then she just immediately shrinks when they finally, yeah. Nobody liked Eternals. Nobody liked the Black Widow movie, not because it's a woman, but because they made it 5 years too late when they should have capitalized on the popularity of both Scarlett Johansson and of Natasha right after Iron Man 2.
Florence Pugh?
No, of Scarlett Johansson's character, Natasha Romanoff.
Oh, okay.
Not Elena. So it just makes no sense that they say that the interest isn't waning, because when I see interest, I think of like the TV shows are less of a commitment. You pay for your $8.99 Disney Plus subscription or whatever it costs now. It might be more than that now, but you pay for that and then you get subjected to 9,000 articles about these shows. Well, they come out week to week, but with the movies, they just kind of come and go. Does anybody remember anything about Shang-Chi? I don't.
No, but do you need to?
I don't remember anything about Shang-Chi. I remember seeing some really bad CGI graffiti at the end of the movie in the final scene, and I remember Awkwafina being slightly less annoying than usual. Like, she was my favorite part of that movie, and that's not a good sign. When Awkwafina is the best part of your movie, that's not a good sign.
I think the only thing I remember about Shang-Chi was the fact that the villain was the guy from Iron Man 3. He was supposed to be who Iron Man 3's villain was.
Yeah.
That's all I remembered.
Yeah. And then also Eternals, I remember the world's most boring sex scene in the history of boring.
Feels like a sex scene does not fit in the MCU.
No, it doesn't belong in there. And also I remember like Angelina Jolie literally carrying the movie on her back with by having like more charisma than literally every other actor in the movie combined.
Now they're bringing in Harrison Ford.
Yeah, to play.
Why does everyone want to be a part of it? The thing sucks. Why do you want to be a part of it?
That's actually a good question. Like for bigger celebrities.
Why does Christian Bale want to be a part of this mess?
I mean, a lot of them, he's like, didn't he say like a lot of them, the go-to excuse, remember how we were talking about Bill Murray not long ago about like, what's the Hollywood saying? It's like, my kids told me I have to be in an MCU movie, so I agreed to do it. They all say something like that. They're like, I was going to turn it down,
Painful.
but then my son was like, you have to be in an MCU movie, Dad. And it's like, that conversation never ever happened.
Because I don't even feel like Marvel is that relevant to young people right now.
They find
it's relevant to the people who are already fans of the comic books.
They're like, how old's your son? 12, 13? He's like 25.
Yeah. It just isn't for kids as it was in the past.
Yeah.
So how do they bring this back? How do they save this? If they were going to save it, how do they save it?
Well, someone suggested in the comments on the trailer as well that if they're bringing Kang as a major focus this early, they're addressing the issue that villains never get to come back and be built up. And hopefully the MCU won't feel so sprawling and aimless like it has been.
It does always feel sprawling and aimless too. That is a problem. Yeah. So I mean, more focus on villains. Marvel doesn't have the best track record with villains. They got Thanos right. They got Killmonger right. What else? Maybe the chat can tell me. What's another Marvel villain that they managed to do not horribly?
Was Ultron?
No, Ultron. Other than being voiced by James Spader, who's awesome. Like, I don't think that movie's really that highly regarded. I can't think of another. I guess I kind of liked Zemo in Captain America Civil War, but he was also far less important because there was less. It was less about having like a united villain and more about them feuding. And obviously Bucky in the Winter Soldier, but that's not the same thing either. I can't think of a lot of good villains that they've done.
I like Scarlet Witch in the Multiverse of Madness, but
yeah, there you go. And then,
that had major improvements that it needed as well. And with the MCU in the state that it's in right now, you would think DC just can't lose.
No, they can.
But they can. They still can.
Whenever there's like midterms or something, they're like, will they snatch defeat from the jaws of victory? DC can find a way to screw it up. Absolutely. They will they will find a way. They'll be like, you know what we need to do? Let's hire Ryan Johnson. And then we'll be screwed because we'll have to get a Ryan Johnson DC movie that nobody will want to see.
Yeah.
So I for one, like, if I had to choose between, I always choose DC. You're more of a Marvel guy.
Yeah.
I'm more of a DC guy. For these movies, Marvel is a far bigger pull box office wise.
Because they started earlier, but
Yeah.
if DC had gotten their act together.
But they don't have the Ant-Man. Fine, you still have Ant-Man, but like you said, he's being sidelined in his own movie. You don't have Tony Stark anymore. We're gonna have to endure Ironheart now. We're gonna have to endure Riri Williams once we get to Black Panther. We don't even have Chadwick Boseman anymore. We don't have original Black Panther. I don't think they're bringing back Killmonger.
I'm still waiting for that follow-up Incredible Hulk movie, like a standalone Hulk movie. I wanted that for so long.
If I can have less, what's his name in my life? Mark Ruffalo. Anything that involves less Mark Ruffalo, I support. Yeah. So as long as I don't have to actually see Mark Ruffalo.
Right.
Maybe.
No, I said Incredible Hulk, not Mark Ruffalo as the Incredible Hulk.
Ang Lee?
No.
Someone else?
What I'm talking about, I like Mark Ruffalo's Hulk the best. I don't like Mark Ruffalo.
Okay, yeah.
Does that make sense?
As long as he's not like, he's actually...
I just wanted to see a movie because the Avengers got it so right where it's just a green giant freak that's smashing everything. That's what I want to see.
Try to get a Hulk movie without a She-Hulk cameo.
Please,
at
God.
this point. Try to do
That's
it.
all I want.
It's not going to happen.
In the chat,
Sorry.
Brian Shasby says, yes, Kingpin and Kilgrave were good villains. Yes, but that was the TV universe, and you can say that they connected all they wanted. Meh. Like, that was Jeff Loeb. No, I like David Tennant as Kilgrave and obviously Vincent D'Onofrio as Kingpin were fantastic. But as we've seen, since they've integrated D'Onofrio's Kingpin into the MCU through Hawkeye, I almost called him Hawkman, through Hawkeye, it doesn't really work the same because it just looks more silly and it doesn't have the same gravity that it had when the character was more serious. I don't really think that they can do that well again because Netflix made those, not Marvel.
Let's go to Super Chats. Hobbit said, I agree with chat. Get the drinker on the show.
That would be I mean, he's. What
do you think?
He's Irish. Irish?
Is he?
I don't know. Yeah, he's not American, so it would be very. If he's out here, I know he did. He was out here in the summer or something like that doing a bunch of stuff. That'd be very cool to get him on the show. I mean, he's big enough. He's got like 1 million subscribers on his YouTube channel. He could do IRL. That would be very cool to have him come and do IRL and the show. It'd be very cool. He's one of those people where it's like, if you ever like want to see something where you wish you were able to like, and not just analyze, because anybody can like analyze it, but actually put it to words and script and then say it in a cogent manner. He's very good at explaining stuff quickly that swirl around in your head, but sometimes it doesn't come out the way you think it does.
You were like, Adriana was an archaeologist.
I was like, she
no
was.
Freaking way.
They never actually said that, but that makes sense. She is kind of like Lara Croft, Tomb Raider.
Maybe we are the lowest common denominator.
That's us. We're like, we don't need you to explain it to us. Just show it to us. And they're like, here's this character. We're like, what does she do? They're like, well, she's going into a tomb and she's like works at the school. Like, what does she do? So maybe we're the problem.
She wasn't doing any archaeology. She was just walking around.
She was very kind of Lara Croft-esque. Yes, give Sarah Shahi her own movie. Give me an Adriana, the generic mother archaeologist movie, and I will go and see it.
Sarah Shahi digging ditches.
I will go buy 100 tickets and watch it 100 times.
Carnell said, let's face it, Bill Murray is in this movie only to serve the already touched upon comedic beats as Jeff Goldblum in Thor Ragnarok.
That was the first thing I thought of.
Disney Marvel has a formula that is tired as jokes they try to spit out. The humor in Marvel movies is so
it's not even
just
it's not even
it's not but it's like this slapstick, like just low IQ, like pressured. It's just like totally forced.
Like, I bet you they have like a
hate
joke,
it.
like they have like a bad joke person whose job it is to write. Because I don't feel like they could be that bad amongst so many different writers. I feel like there's just a guy called Bad Jokes Guy that's inserted into every writer's room for all of these movies, because there's no way they can be that bad across the board.
What's worse is just hearing people in the theater laugh, like actually laugh out loud at the jokes. It's like,
stop validating
I
them.
laugh at other
Please.
people laughing.
like have
Like, that's the
higher
funny part.
standards, please. Matt said the Eternals was important in proving Thanos right.
Yes, as we've seen. That movie was so like, I tried to rewatch it and I got through just 5 minutes. I'm like, I can only see so many beautifully shot wide landscape shots before I'm just like, you're not actually telling a story. You're just shooting pretty visuals and assuming that that's going to.
That's going to be the next Avatar movie. You ready? You ready to review it?
No, I'm not.
You want to sit down for 3.5 hours?
I do not.
I need to stop watching YouTube. Said, I don't like Kanye, but he be right about Demdo. Well, we're talking about Kanye
We're going to get to that.
in a minute,
Get to
and we'll see. We'll see what we have to say about that. Matt said, Brett and Mary retro reviews as member content.
Dude, don't threaten me with a good time. That would be like the best thing ever, would be to just review why you, like, if I had a show, it'd be called Why You Always Bringing Up Old Shit. Like,
I love it.
it would just be me reviewing stuff that nobody watches anymore. That's been off the air for like not even like a significant amount of time. It's just been like, it's not like 20 years old. It's just like 8 years old.
Yeah.
So it's like just
an awkward amount of time old.
like, I can't wait 2 more years for this.
Guys,
to be
burn notice.
Yes, amongst other things, or even The Librarians, which just went off the air like a couple of years ago. But
Shows that ended in like 2018 that only ran for a year or so.
yeah, that's the thing. Most of the things that I love are shows that got like unceremonious endings. Like I tell everyone, go watch the Limitless TV show that only got 1 season, and I challenge you to find like a bigger lost opportunity amongst Hollywood, who loves to remake and adapt stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It even has a cameo from Bradley Cooper, and it was so good, and then it was just gone.
Yeah.
Just gone. It's kind of like, what's her, Jennifer Carpenter from Dexter, the one who plays Deb on Dexter. Like, she's in that, and she's kind of been like a weird sort of television poison since that show, since Dexter. Like, it seems like most of the stuff she's in doesn't last long. So, or what was it? Legends with Sean Bean. It was like this really, really paint by numbers generic spy show that's like, I can't help it. I'm like, I love it. It's just not good. It is what it is.
Have you ever seen Electric Dreams?
Mm-mm.
Tim was recommending that last night on IRL, and I hadn't heard of it before.
Oh wait, is that the
it's on Amazon Prime.
It's what's his
It's like
name?
Black
It's like
Mirror-ish.
political sci-fi.
Yeah.
It's what's his name? Who's the guy who made it? I have
remember.
I watched
Yeah.
it here. Like,
Oh, so you have seen it?
yes.
Yeah.
At least I saw part of it. The one with the guy who's like, he keeps trying to talk to his friends about stuff that's being said in the media.
Came out in like 2017.
Yeah, and like he keeps trying to talk about stuff, and his friends like just don't care, and he can't figure out why no one cares. Yeah. We
I'm
watched
sure
it.
a lot of people could relate to that in 2017.
Yeah, it was very Black Mirror. All right, let's move on. But yes, why are you bringing up old shit? That's a fantastic idea for a show on members only content. So it says, guys, we are now in Podluck. Kanye West's streams and airplay take a nosedive in wake of anti-Semitic comments. Thoughts?
I've been playing him more. I'm not gonna lie.
Really?
Yeah, that's just
On
me.
repeat.
On repeat.
I was listening to Jail Part 2 last night,
Yeah.
and a couple of old songs from College Dropout.
Oh my god, every song on that album's a banger.
Yeah.
I forgot.
Yeah, he very effortlessly talks socio-political stuff without feeling like you're being beaten over the head with it in a way that music doesn't do as well as, I mean, movies and TV don't do it well either. Yeah. But arguably for modern music, they don't do it as well.
Because like think of a Kendrick Lamar.
Yeah.
He attempts to do the exact same thing and just utterly fails at it because it's preachy and it feels like it's, condescending and beating you over the head with messages.
Even like Tom McDonald, who I like as an artist and has music that I like his non-political music more than I like his political music.
Yeah.
Like the best song that he made was No Lives Matter, which is a political song, but then it never felt like the rest of the songs after that rose to what I felt was that level of talent lyrically or the way the song was produced. But in general, like even if it's something you agree with, you just start to go like, yeah, I get it. Like, but then again, I grew up in the era where I literally grew up in music that was supposed to be about like death and drugs and like every rap cliche was what I grew up with. So it was like I almost like went out of my way to prefer music that didn't have substance. I'm like, I don't want to hear. I want to hear music about doing drugs. I want to hear music about having sex. I want to hear music about gang activity. Literally stuff that was not relevant to my life as a child. But you like I said, like white kids in the suburbs grew up and listened to rap ironically, whereas the people who actually lived that experience took something different from it. And for Kanye West, he rapped pretty effortlessly about the things that his family went through and what his people went through, as he would say. And
because it's more about himself than about society. Yeah. And with Kendrick Lamar, it's all about here's what's wrong with everyone else except me. And I'm the only one who has the clarity about it. But I need to sneeze so bad right now, and I can't.
Yesterday, it was like right into the cough was like right into the microphone.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
We both
I'm disgusting.
According to the latest data from Luminate, albums by Kanye West, who now goes by Ye. It's kind of like gender pronouns
Ye?
in there. Did I say Ye? Yay.
How could you go to the dark side?
It's
yay.
But like it's kind of like whenever when somebody's pronouns, they're like, who goes by they them pronouns?
Who goes by yay yem?
Who goes by yay yem? They are down 23%. I'm so sorry. Yeah, I'm not going to live that down. Yay.
Yay, yeah.
So who now goes by Ye, his streams are down 23% through October 20th as compared to the previous week. And airplay, spins on radio, have dropped off to the tune of 13% in the U.S.
So more people are like torrenting his music?
I would have thought that it would have gone off more in the terrestrial radio world rather than the streaming world. Yeah. Like I feel like the stations have to deal with people calling and being like, why are you playing this bigot's music? Right. Rather than streaming, you're just like,
but
if
look
around, you're like, is anybody listening to me right now?
Somebody listening in the privacy of their home,
If he's flying around more in the collective consciousness, then you're more likely to stream him, you would think. So maybe it's just more people are pirating his music, torrenting his music.
No, I gotta be honest
instead of supporting him by streaming.
I might or might not have partaked in the pirating business back in the day. Well, but I have not. I mean,
he exclusively released one of his albums exclusively on his own $200 speaker device.
What was that thing called? What was that thing called?
What it was called.
It looked exactly like one of the timed grenades from GoldenEye 007. The stem player.
Oh yes,
it looked like a time grenade from GoldenEye, and it's like Shane Cashman bought it. He has it.
What?
Dude. Yeah,
because he was like, I just need to play that album.
He's a Donda boy. He loves Kanye.
But yeah, I wouldn't have expected his streams to go down, but everyone's talking about him a lot more than they were.
Yep.
And I don't see that stopping or slowing down anytime soon because every day it's just something new. So recently he was dropped by his talent agency, CAA, and the CEO of a different talent agency, Endeavor, named Ari Emanuel, called for all of these brands working with Kanye to cut off ties with him. He said that silence is not an option in response to Kanye West's anti-Semitic comments in the business world specifically. So these businesses need to make an ethical decision to cut off ties with him.
My favorite
and
is
they followed along.
Yeah, my favorite was like there was an article written about like banks should not be moral arbiters. ... Obviously, because they're talking like you who like literally bankrupted this like the entire country and had to be bailed out by our tax dollars in 2008. You're the moral arbiters.
Damn, that's crazy.
Give me a freaking break.
Yeah.
Like
I bet that Gap is feeling really lucky they cut ties with Kanye when they did.
Back in,
I mean, really, it was more of Kanye's decision than theirs. Yeah. But before he started on this October tirade, every day it's a new controversy.
He should try to like make a brand that nobody would think could be cool again and make it. He should like get sponsored by Old Navy. And try to make like Old Navy like high
it literally
fashion.
Would work.
Like he's like
crazily enough.
He's
like,
wearing that famous Old Navy shirt with the American flag on it that literally every girl in the South wore to every 4th of July party for like 20
he could
years.
do something like that, like what happened for Champion, what happened for Puma, where that where they sit in the market just changed all of a sudden, and then you realized one day that you don't find Champion at Walmart anymore.
I watched the thing that said Champion goes through phases where they're out and then back in like every 10 years.
No way.
Yeah, where it's like there's like it's like this weird thing where like Champion fluctuates, where it's like people are like Champion's cool again, and then it's cool for like a couple years, and then they're like suddenly nobody gives a crap about them for 10 years, and then somebody comes back and is like Champion's cool again, and then it's cool for another couple of years, so they got to hold on between down periods.
Well, Adidas just dropped Kanye as a business partner. They've dropped Yeezy, and it was after a lot of pressure on social media, and they waited as long as they possibly could to announce that. It's funny because the actual announcement says we're cutting ties immediately. We don't stand with anti-Semitism.
Immediately, kind of,
and it's like immediately, as in 3 days after, or like a week after the news initially broke, because he wanted to see how people would respond to it.
That's kind of the struggle of living in a world now where the news cycle is literally 24 hours, and there's no there is no downtime anymore. You used to be able to just wait this type of stuff out, and it would just disappear.
Well, sometimes it does, but
not in this
Kanye
case.
is still trending like almost every day,
to the point where we got sick of talking about it, because there's just like literally it's like we'll be like doing the show and an update will come in as we're doing the show. I'm like, I don't have time to read that right now. We're in the middle of the show.
Weirdly enough, only like 2 weeks ago it was reported in Page Six that Kanye showed a pornographic film to board members at Adidas in a meeting with them.
It's my favorite part.
To demonstrate to them what their business relationship is like. Now, I don't know what position Kanye would be. Like, what is he saying? What is he implying? What character is he in the pornographic film? What character is Adidas in the film? I would like to know. What was the exposition to the story?
The meeting with the rapper turned designer says, he says, he holding his phone horizontally in front of the businessman while a video played. After several seconds, one of the men asked, "Is this a porn movie?" To which he replied, "Yeah." Jesus Christ, one of them let out. Like, I'm just picturing all of these just stodgy old dudes just like trying to play it cool and not being able to.
The apparent point of the X-rated film was to draw a parallel between its plot and West's business dealings with Adidas, which handles the manufacturing of Yeezy.
We don't deserve this, man.
So I would love to know in the
Brazzers.
plot how were they, interacting? Who was representing Adidas? Who was representing Kanye?
Is the executive the stepsister in the washing machine?
Right? We need answers.
Help me, step-yay.
I weirdly enough, I didn't see the headlines about this when it initially came out. This was from October 10th. But yeah, apparently that didn't prompt them to end their business relationship with Yeezy. It was just
he's
the
an
money
artist.
was just too good.
He's eccentric, okay? He's
He's allowed to do that.
When you're rich, you're not weird. You're eccentric.
Yep.
Bill Murray, he's not weird. He's eccentric.
So only following his tweets, specifically his bizarre proclamation that he
Thank
would
you.
go, quote, DEFCON 3 on Jewish people.
He should like.
Did they reconsider
Yeah.
their business relationship? And it took them still many days to figure out what they would do.
Well, I mean, when you're a company that big,
They
like,
took I think a 17.5% drop in stock price, which is actually what caused them to switch sides on this issue.
Yes.
Because like if they had not faced a financial consequence, I think they would have stayed in business with him.
they're on the side of higher stock prices.
They think the short-term loss of cutting ties with Yeezy makes up for the long-term loss that they saw ahead of them if they had to keep answering for all of his controversial statements.
It's
I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know if it's fair.
You know what?
I mean, really, Adidas only has to look out for themselves.
Yeah.
They're a business.
Where does he go after this?
I mean, Kanye doesn't have to have a business partnership with literally any brand. He's his own brand.
Yeah.
you should
He's
do
a
it with Jinko
powerhouse.
jeans.
They're back, dude. Those things, those
yeah.
are expensive. Those cost like
I know.
$150.
And
Jinko's-
Kanye loves baggy clothes.
There you go.
they'll have their own like big like. Well, no, because he wears like.
He wears rain
tight,
boots.
He wears tight pants with rain boots. He wears baggy sweatshirts.
He's done both. He's done both like skinny jeans and baggy like cargo pants.
He can just buy H&M or buy American Apparel.
Just do something weird. Well, he can't buy American Apparel because Dove Charney has a problem with him.
That's
He has
true.
beef with Dove Charney. Weirdly enough, Dove Charney is not the person I would expect to be a moral arbiter in this day and age. But
As if any fashion
the way things have
designer should
panned
be.
out,
Yeah.
that happened.
Does anybody else notice that Kanye West is like the 2022 race-swapped version of 2004's Mel Gibson?
Kind of.
Yeah.
I mean, in like a.
Why
I mean,
is that?
Well, Mel Gibson was going through, like, he was drinking a lot at that time. He was going through. Have you ever noticed how that, whenever they
Was
bring
that
up
when
his,
Mel Gibson said anti-Semitic things
Yeah.
too?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was when the
but-
Passion of the Christ came out.
But remember when he did that, but nobody ever brings up the Alec Baldwin thing with him like calling his daughter like a fat pig or whatever.
Oh
he
my
did.
gosh.
That I finally heard that audio tape for the first time, and
Yeah.
it's literally like listening to his character from 30 Rock yell at a child. It's awful.
Yeah.
It's but
There are
like,
some celebrities who just don't face
con-
consequences for
Alec
the things
Bald-
they said.
Alec Baldwin's like, I literally can shoot people.
You know,
It
I
doesn't
saw
matter.
someone tweet today, actually. You know, it's funny how Kanye is being held to account for his anti-Semitic comments, but you guys completely ignored it when Johnny Depp said that stuff. And then I looked up, like, Johnny Depp anti-Semitic comments, and then the only things that came up were the fact that Camille Vasquez has dropped Kanye
yeah.
as a client.
See, that makes me sad. I really wanted to think of Camille Vasquez, hot super lawyer, who just gets to defend anyone, no matter what. Like, I love the idea of the lawyer who doesn't give a crap.
Well,
like,
even Camille Vasquez has
standards.
a standard, okay? I wasn't seeing that coming.
Maybe
I
Kanye
thought she just
can-
wanted the most controversial client possible.
Maybe Kanye can make a documentary about himself, like Madonna is doing right
I think
now.
he did, dude.
Well, he's making, like, he can make not a documentary, but like an inspired by, like an actual movie.
Oh, okay.
Usually the draw to a documentary like that is like, you haven't seen them this open and vulnerable before. But with Kanye, it's like
think we
he's
have.
only open and vulnerable. Like, he just did a 4
doesn't-
hour long podcast with Lex Friedman talking about
God.
like his personal feelings about like trauma and race relations and
I think that's why he's like,
family and
it's like, as much as I don't like the stuff that he said, I'm drawn to people that are just can't help but be that open with the world, like wear your heart on your sleeve in a way where it's like he's not going into it in a world where everything that we analyze is a bunch of media trained scumbags who are saying the exact right thing to elicit the exact right reaction that they want,
Yeah.
run by a team of losers whose jobs are to make them sound as inoffensive and morally virtuous as possible.
because
And
even
then-
their vulnerability is marketable.
yeah.
Kanye's vulnerability is not
It's the opposite
marketable.
it's the opposite of marketable, and there's something about it where I can be against what he said, and I can disagree heavily with a lot of the things that he's the way
Yeah.
in which he's saying it, without me and you watched an interview with him one time, and we just couldn't get over how sincere he seemed to be with the lady he was talking to in the interview. And there's something to that where maybe we look for a middle ground. Maybe there's like a middle ground between like media trained scumbag and Kanye, where we find some common ground where you can be a little bit more open and vulnerable and show who you really are without also saying really, really offensive, anti-Semitic, or awful things.
The hope would be that when he was with Kim, then it would rub off on Kim and she would become less of a media trained robot.
Yeah.
But it didn't work. Even she's come out and denounced Kanye, essentially. She said, hate speech is never okay or excusable. I stand together with the Jewish community and call on the terrible violence and hateful rhetoric towards them to come to an immediate end. So she denounced him without even naming him. It's
Chloe
really
did too.
despicable because in the past she has come to his defense in other times when he's said things that piss people off.
Didn't she just say something really recently about who was the lady that her ex, that Ray J was dating, and he called her like an old hag or something like that?
Whitney Houston. She called an old hag and a C word and just like a crackhead and all this terrible stuff.
Kanye should make
in
something
this
that says,
voicemail Candace Owen leaked.
Kanye should make a Instagram post that says, I stand with old hags everywhere.
I heart old hags. No, I stand with old fags and the hateful rhetoric against old hag C words.
Yeah.
Must come to an immediate end, and then just doesn't name her.
There's also we have a comment it's from Ori Nabisco, says, it's weird how you can say the most horrible things about Christians but can't say anything about Jews. That is a double standard right now.
There's another double standard that people are bringing up about this situation, that Kanye said a lot of controversial racial statements in years past, and never once has the backlash been this strong and swift.
Yeah.
He said things like suggesting to the TMZ newsroom in 2018 that slavery in America was a choice for the black community. I don't want to take that out of context and villainize him for saying that. I think he had his reasons, and I don't entirely know what he meant, but it's up to him to explain himself on that. But he's made equally controversial, polarizing statements about racial politics and race relations before he ever said anything about Jewish people, yet the reaction was never this strong. His business relationships at the time were just fine, and his own wife came to his defense in that time period. So people are saying, like, I see this tweet that said black people were still buying Yeezys, still going to Sunday service, going to Donda shows, watching Kanye's interviews, listening to his albums, calling him a genius. Black peers, executives, and fans. That's why Kanye's anti-black speech didn't cancel him. And they say there's a double standard in how the media reacted to Kanye's speech that was considered anti-black compared to his speech that is considered anti-Semitic today.
And let's face it, like when he's talking in these things, I don't know how much of it is like he just doesn't know how to filter through it and say it in a way that's going to like resonate with these people. But also, it's not gonna matter because he's saying something that's so antithetical to what they believe that they wouldn't ever. Let's face it, the media is not steel manning any of your arguments, but he's not helping himself with the way he says a lot. But that's the world we live in, right? Where you have to assume that every argument that you ever make to anything that goes against the narrative will be straw manned to the extreme, and they will make you out to be really dumb.
Here's a straw man. Adam22 tweeted today, Kanye spent 20 years building one of the biggest empires in music and fashion and threw it all away because he wanted to repeat Candace Owens' talking points on TV.
What were her talking points? I never heard anything like that.
What a shameless straw man.
What's his name? Ethan Klein. That's what he was saying, was that Candace Owens was influencing
They want
him
her to be
with
the
anti-Semitism.
puppet master in this story.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm sure they barely even talk or see each
There's
other.
a conservative woman who doesn't get it taken easy on. They
Wait,
go
what?
after. I don't think they take it easy on Candace Owens.
No.
Oh, no.
I think they go after her pretty hard.
She's conservative and black, though.
That's a double threat, yeah. But she she knows the facts. She's more of a public intellectual. She's more combative. She's definitely more combative.
She
takes no shit.
Yeah.
It's definitely a unique situation there.
Yeah.
But she's also one of the most successful.
Yes.
But it's just like such a straw man to say that the purpose of all of this noise that Kanye has made in the media recently is that he wants like political clout. Yep. Like he is clearly going through something difficult mentally, emotionally. He's got strained relationships with his family members. They're coming out and denouncing him on social media. They're not talking to him personally. Every time that someone tries to have a private conversation with him, he publicizes it because he doesn't trust anyone. And he feels like he's getting attacked from all sides. I don't think that his motivation right now is that he wants to be the next Charlie Kirk. Like, what?
No.
No.
It's just ridiculous.
It's just ye being yay.
So what does he do to fix it? Is there
literally
a way to fix it?
I don't think he wants to. At this point, I don't see him stopping this, this upcoming like train wreck anytime soon. It's not slowing down. More headlines are to come, I'm sure. But like,
thank you.
Do you think he's going to put out an album that I don't know.
I don't even know if he's making music right now.
Yeah,
I thought he just put one out. He put out like so many like in the last couple
Donda
years.
too, like what, last year?
Okay, yeah, so that one, but
seems like he's focusing more on like
anything but music right now.
Yeah, like his Donda Academy and Donda University plans, and then this ecosystem.
The ecosystem. The
self-sustaining city plan. I don't even know what direction he's going anymore, if there is one at all. But the fact is, he doesn't need the backing of an Adidas or even of a Kim Kardashian or famous friends to be Kanye West. Like, he is a powerhouse in his own right in his industry, and there's nothing that they can do to stop him. He's anti-fragile. He will never lose his wealth. He is pretty much like as powerful as you can get.
I think the refusal to back down on anything he says scares the crap out of them in a lot of ways, because they can't bully him the way they can bully so many other people. Mm-hmm. So we'll see. I have a hard time with it because there's a lot of in there that I just don't want to touch. There's a lot of stuff that he goes into that I'm just like, look, I don't. Like,
I'm not interested in everything he says, but I have to respect his sincerity.
The stuff we touched on today, like a lot of it is like the idea that his airplay has suffered, like that's analytical. The video of him showing porn to a bunch of executives, that's funny, but like the rest of it, it's like it's almost too personal to me to wanna even comment on.
Yeah, like we're looking at what is happening and the facts, but there is a person at the center of it, and that's difficult.
Maybe it's like it's easier when it's celebrities, because so much of when celebrities try to get personal, it comes off as fake. Mm-hmm. That when Kanye does it, it feels so almost jarringly sincere that you feel weird, like you're eavesdropping on a conversation you're not supposed to be a part of, except for it's being videotaped and shown to the world. But it's like is that much sincerity that frequently almost scary in a way? Like you're like, this doesn't feel normal or real to see somebody being this honest all the time about what they believe.
Yeah. So. Well, I guess that's all we have to say on that for now.
So much of it is stuff that I don't care to get into, but the how it plays out is interesting for what it means for our culture. So
yeah.
All right, I wanna mention this thing about Ralph Fiennes. So Ralph Fiennes played Voldemort in Harry Potter. He had more to say about J.K. Rowling, who he's supporting, even though J.K. Rowling, thinks Alex Jones should be like banned from the world and have all his wealth taken because he said some stuff about Sandy Hook that they didn't like.
J.K. Rowling is definitely getting more defense than she deserves.
Yep. So this is his quote. He says, J.K. Rowling has written these great books about empowerment, about young children finding themselves as human beings. It's about how you become a better, stronger, more morally centered human being. The verbal abuse directed at her is disgusting. It's appalling. He continued, I mean, I can understand a viewpoint that might be angry with what she says about women, but it's not some obscene uber right-wing fascist. It's just a woman saying, I'm a woman and I feel feel I'm a woman, and I want to be able to say that I'm a woman. And I understand where she's coming from, even though I'm not a woman. So he's clearly not connected to what's going on in the world right now. That is absolutely true. Otherwise, he would. Otherwise, he would have. I saw an article earlier that says the dressing down of Ketanji Brown Jackson was pointless or was stupid or something like that, which just proves that they don't understand how ridiculous their rhetoric is, because they're literally like basically forced into compliance by not being able to say anything because they have to fall in line with their ideology, which should have nothing to do with their politics. And so he doesn't understand that what he's talking about here, it is not uber right-wing fascists that say stuff like that right now. It's control left fascists that say stuff like that.
He's clearly an older actor than, say, a Tom Felton is.
Yeah.
Doesn't know the right thing to say about this.
The scrutiny surrounding Rowling began in 2020, and then they go into her "people who menstruate" comment, which is a classic. But like I said, I have little sympathy for her right now in this particular incident, because I don't feel like she lived up to her ideals by saying that Alex Jones should be bankrupted for having.
It's freedom of speech for me, but not for thee.
Yes.
At J.K. Rowling's discretion, I guess. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
It seems completely arbitrary who she defends and who she, encourages.
It'd be cool if she had she just rolled a dice, or she has a magic 8-ball. Ooh.
She's just should I support Alex Jones?
Definitely not.
Nope.
She's like a Harry Potter brand magic 8-ball. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Get it? Magic? I thought it was funny.
Yeah.
So it speaks to me that it feels like there's this weird disconnect between how much celebrities actually understand about what's going on with gender politics in this country. Like, saying that it's not uber right-wing fascist proves that he has no clue where this stuff is coming from.
Right.
Yeah.
At all. Yeah. Like, he doesn't get it. No. And it's kind of shocking to me, because for us, we're kind of surrounded by it. So you see it every day, you hear it every day, and you take for granted just how much you know about these things. And one thing for me is I always assume that I don't know enough about any topic, and that I think that's a fairly never assume you know enough or a lot about anything. Otherwise, you'll find yourself misinformed. For something like this, they don't even try to be informed about it. They just kind of take whatever's fed to them and assume that it's true. Yeah. And to be that off the mark on something like that is insane, when what she's saying is not in any way left or right. It should just be honest, but she's being attacked by the left, not the right.
Yeah, I think Ralph Fiennes is just rather disconnected from the conversation around her, and just knows that she's getting backlash for something or other.
Do a Google search, bro.
But all that needs to be said is, that you're generally thankful to J.K. Rowling for the opportunity she gave you. And that's what Tom Felton said. I don't even think that you need to get into the issue that she's chosen as something very important to her. It doesn't need to be important to you just because you're tangentially related to her through these movies. Yep. You don't need to speak on that in order to just generally say, I don't hate her. I don't think she's a garbage human being who should have her livelihood stolen from her. You don't even need to begin to speak about this, gender ideology stuff. It's totally irrelevant.
And it just boggles my mind that she doesn't get the same. She doesn't understand that should hold true for people.
She doesn't allow the same leeway to other people. Yep. And I don't think she deserves the defense that she's gotten.
And that should be a cautionary tale to people that don't, that quickly after something happens to them and they don't even hold up to their own beliefs then. Yeah. It's like a lot of those Defiant L's posts, they're always a couple of days apart. They don't understand. With those people, I just assume they're politically motivated and evil. With her, I just don't know if she gets it.
She definitely doesn't get it. She is the definition of a disconnected billionaire elite who has been insulated from the rest of society. Yeah, for sure.
All right. And finally, we have a topic that was hot yesterday and today, and that's the
Katy Perry's wonky eye.
It's the NPC update happening mid-show.
Let's show the video, shall we?
Can we
she was at a concert.
I don't know if we can show it. Can we show? Is it?
It's embedded in here. Yeah.
I want to make sure that it allows me to play it on here. There it is. R.I.P. everyone's eardrums. I apologize.
Sorry about that.
Let me turn that down. Can I play it with audio at a different?
Doesn't need audio anyways.
Yeah.
She just is in the middle of a concert, and you can see that one of her eyes shuts, and she can't open it. And she has to like pull at her face a little bit in order to open it. It takes her a few seconds, but eventually she gets it open.
Eye glue?
She's
And
clearly a cyborg.
I mean, she could be a cyborg. A lot of people are positing some conspiracy theories about a certain medical
Safe and
effective medical intervention. And a lot of people are also saying that it's hot and she's sweating, so her eyelash glue is melting and sticking to the bottom eyelid.
See, I think it speaks more to the sugar consumption problem in this country because she's wearing soda cans.
I noticed that too. I love that the only thing people noticed about this video is that her wonky eye.
And I'm over here like, dude's wearing
and then she's
cans
wearing
of Pepsi.
She's wearing literal soda cans on her dress.
I was like, that's literally like a Pepsi can and a Gatorade can.
Yeah, this speaks so
Or
much
no, it's
to
a
like
Heineken can.
how we've been desensitized to
what
the
you-
weird shit celebrities wear these days.
So yeah, so what do you think it is? It's like after Justin Bieber had, what was it called? Ramsey Hunt syndrome.
Yeah, he
And
did.
then-
And then Justin Bieber's wife, Hailey Bieber, had a stroke condition.
There was I sent you the meme. It's like a Tinder match of Justin Bieber with his eye and Katy Perry with her eye, and it says you guys have matched on Tinder.
I love it. I love it.
I wish I had that pulled up. Yeah, so she was like, didn't she just move out of Hollywood? Maybe she's getting like
She's doing a Las Vegas residency right now, but her home is
Indiana or
in
something?
Kentucky.
Kentucky. Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
So to me, it's like it's suspicious, but all these things are like, it is what it is.
By the way, I learned today that Russell Brand broke up with her through text.
Oh my!
Dude, what a
God.
king!
Yeah.
Dude.
He broke I think they were engaged. He broke their engagement over text.
Oh my God.
He's just like, sorry, deal with it.
Yeah. You've said a lot about like Russell Brand's YouTube channel, right?
Yeah, he's got a great.
I haven't watched
on
much of
Rumble
it,
now.
but he has a lot of fans.
He's another
Yeah.
one who like his feels like it could be half performance, half honesty, but there's a real air of like wanting to get to the truth that I am always tempered to believe wholeheartedly because he is a performer at heart.
Right.
But he's like, he's got this enthusiastic search for the truth, and he calls out a lot of the narratives that are going on in the world right now. And I always wonder how these people have, like, how does he have the time if he's acting as well? Like, when do they have the time to do all this stuff?
That's
But
why you had to break up with Katy Perry.
he's like, sorry, I got like,
Sorry, babe. I got to start my YouTube empire. See you later.
dude, that's even funnier. He's like, he was gonna call her, but like he was in the middle of updating his YouTube page. He's just like, that's
Me
great.
engagement's off, babe.
Sorry, I've got the CDC to expose, and I'm not a big fan of Bill Gates, so we're gonna have to call it quits. You're gonna have to go and teenage dream somewhere else.
Oh.
What was another one of her songs? I couldn't think off the top of my head.
I kissed a girl.
Yeah,
Last Friday night,
Like,
yes.
Yeah.
firework,
He's like, you're the dark horse now.
hot and cold.
Hot and cold.
That was a good
That
one.
was a
man.
good one.
That was a good one.
that was
Can
a-
we pull up the photo where she looks like, as you said, Janice?
Oh yes. This is. It literally doesn't look like her. It looks like
This isn't Katie. This is Catherine.
This looks like if Katy Perry's name was Janice or Fran. To me,
Fran.
She looks like a Fran.
And her last name is definitely like Lepre.
yeah,
Or like Dupree.
She looks like she would make the goofy sound of "Hiya."
Oh
Like she-
no.
Like, or she snorts when she laughs if she's a character in a movie or a TV show.
I feel bad, but she looks wonky.
It just doesn't look like her. It doesn't look like.
This is why people make these theories about celebrities getting like killed off and replaced by clones.
Yep.
Because they change appearance so drastically,
Yep.
you don't even recognize them.
She doesn't look like there's so many other red carpets where she looks exactly like this, but not like this at all.
Yeah.
Like where she's wearing that same type of outfit. She's got her hair pulled back in the same
Yeah.
exact way, but something about her face is pointed
like-
upwards, whereas her face in this is pointed like weirdly horizontal and down. It makes no sense. They're clones.
Do you think Avril Lavigne was killed and replaced by a clone too?
Dude, was that you that we were watching that video where she's like, everyone calls me punk?
Yes,
but
I
I'm,
showed
like,
you that video.
Not punk.
In like 2002 or 3, Avril Lavigne did this infamous interview where she was like, I don't know, everyone like calls me, she's got her hair like pulled over her face. She's like, everyone like says I'm punk. Like punk is just like so many things that I'm not even gonna get into right now. But like, you know, I'm a rock chick. I like to, you know, throw things around, get my anger out, like with her Canadian accent. Get my anger out on stage.
Out. Get my anger out.
I loved that. But people said that they think Avril Lavigne was killed and replaced by a clone named what was
Anvil
it?
Lavigne?
Like Megan. It was some like random ass name, and they thought they had it like for sure. I don't remember exactly what the theory was.
So
There are other celebrity clone theories.
This is a weird thing, though, because it shows to you the really hyper politicized world we live in right now, where Tim's covering Katy Perry's eye drooping because there's social implications.
Yeah, like,
there's
what the
medical
hell?
implications. There's all this stuff, and I'm just like,
We're talking about Big Pharma because Katy Perry's
Eye
eyelash glue
And
melted on stage. Like, what the hell?
As
What
I
kind
go
of
into-
society are we living in?
as I go into a weird diatribe about how she looks like an NPC robot that literally got an update mid-show, and like somebody like if she was like
She's like downloading iOS 15.
Yeah.
Okay, got
she's
it.
like, damn it, I set that to download after the show tonight. Why did it do that right now? Who tethered
I'm
my
supposed to update at night. Get my manager.
2 a.m. is my update time. You guys know this. Like that's like, but that's the world we live in right now, right? It's like where like everything we talk about has, whether we like it or not, everything that we cover on the show could find its way to mainstream political shows like Tim's very easily.
Yeah.
Like almost
For
anything.
stupid reasons like that.
Yeah, it makes it's kind of depressing.
Nah,
Like, no,
I think it's funny.
it's depressing. It's depressing.
Everything's a
to me.
conspiracy theory now.
It's like that's how it is for all of it, and it's kind of exhausting.
Well, I don't find it exhausting. I find it funny.
Mary.
I find levity in it.
Mary finds, yeah. Well, you have you're more of an agent of chaos than
That's
I am.
why we make such an iconic podcast duo.
Dude, iconic. That's one of those words that is every Gen Z person says iconic.
Iconic.
It's like- I don't-
Slay queen.
But even slay is like,
You know what else they
millennial.
say? They say, well, slay was adopted by Gen Z as like an ironic thing at first, and then it turned into a genuine thing.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Well, that's
So,
like
like,
letting the terrorists win. You're not supposed to like
The
let
BuzzFeed millennials started saying slay and queen,
Yeah,
and then that kind of fell out of style, and then Gen Z adopted slay again as like just purely like a post-ironic humor thing.
Yeah.
And then it has evolved once again into a genuine thing, and I'm sure it's going to go through the same evolution all over again.
There-
But Gen Z like says like mother a lot. Like
Really?
I'll let me inform you guys.
like what? Wait, in what context?
Like if there's some woman that they love, they're like mother. Like they call her like mother.
Have you ever seen that?
I don't
Have
know.
you ever seen that the meme of like the
I'm reporting the
scientists-
facts. I don't know.
The two scientists, and they're looking at it. It says like, it's, what should we call it? Long legs. Yes, that, but creepier. Like daddy long legs. That's like Gen
Yeah.
Z with language is definitely
Yeah.
all over the
But
place.
it's also a lot of it is adopted from like RuPaul's Drag Race and stuff.
And that's the other thing, is like a lot of it is like Gen Z. There was an episode of NCIS where like Palmer's like going to his wedding and they wear these really purposely ugly powder blue suits that are supposed to be, and then like he's like walking around like really proud of himself, and all the old people are like, we get it, sarcasm, like irony existed when we were kids too, back in the dark ages. Like you weren't the first people to do things ironically.
Yeah.
And that's the world we live in. Like, it feels like it's
But
like
now
people have kind
we're-
of given up, so it's just irony.
We're like post irony.
In what way?
Like things have to go through this evolution. Like I said, like it's genuine, and then it's ironic, and then it becomes genuine again, and then becomes ironic again.
It should never become genuine again in one generation. Like they should have never adopted Queen or Slay.
It took
ironically
like 5 years at most for that to happen.
You just wait until they start wearing skinny jeans non-ironically.
They already are.
They've already fallen back. They never go away. They never go away.
Yeah, because I follow like the fashion blogs, and it's like,
and they're like, we're
wow,
over
you're like wearing baggy jeans again. It's skinny jeans again.
That was such a weird thing. All of a sudden, like overnight, I'm like, why is everybody wearing baggy clothing again?
Right, but now the skinny jeans are back.
I haven't seen a pair of Carpenter jeans since like the 90s at Old Navy, which I want Kanye to buy and then bring back Carpenter jeans.
We also need low-rise to make a comeback.
No, see,
low-rise jeans.
we all know, I'm sorry, but we all know that high-waisted is only out of necessity because this country is fat.
But high-waisted pants don't even hide fat. They're just there. In fact, it makes it more evident.
It's there for like the girls so they can go work out and not show paunch.
Like in leggings, yes.
Yeah.
But
leggings.
jeans don't hide anything.
It's
I never understood the high-waisted jeans thing being like a cope for getting fat because they were popular in the 90s.
It's a fatter country now, so now you will not have low-rise skirts ever again. It'll just be pencil skirts forever because America's full of fatties.
No.
Jordan Peterson does not approve.
No thank you, LOL.
No fat chicks. Jordan Peterson, 2022.
What did I say? Not beautiful.
Yes, yeah. Sorry, not hot.
Sorry, not hot.
All right, let's go to Super Chats.
Matt said, since we now find Gap also dropped Ye in September, the current reaction to his outlandish comments seems like justification, like the Carano situation.
I think that's true. I mean, they dropped him in September, so it's just a justification. But I mean, what like if anything, they should have been like, "See, guys, we were ahead of the curve. We knew he was an anti-Semitic
right." I was
piece
saying,
of shit. Like,
yeah, we knew. No, I hate the assumption that these corporations drop a relationship because it goes against their ethical code. Adidas doesn't have an ethical code.
Money is their ethical code.
Yes,
which
should be fine, right?
Yes. Like I'm really whenever they're like, yeah, they don't align with our values. I'm
We
like,
don't have values.
Like, I want you to tell me that you have no value other than to make a product that I want to buy. If you want to be like, we are awful people who will exploit any and all laws to get what we want, but we will make you a great pair of shoes. That's all you need to do to sell me. Like.
Yeah.
But
because the internet mob is like asking these mega corporations to uphold their moral values.
It's like people like going for like Apple. They're like, sure, we know that people jump off your roof at your sweatshops, but you put a net underneath. You do? Okay, well then I'll buy your phone.
Silicon Valley is like the Vatican City of like people with Twitter fingers. I don't know.
I want a company to unironically come out and be like, we have no moral code or creed. We just want to sell you stuff and we want to make it as cheaply as possible so we can make obscene amounts of money and pay our executives obscenely well. And
we dropped Kanye because our shareholders were mad.
Yes, and Kanye took our money away, therefore we dropped him. I'd be like, okay. Fine.
I would probably buy that company's product like the same I would buy Jeremy's razors.
There you go.
You know, they're just being honest, man.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's the dishonesty of it. Like, it's one of the arguments long before I was politically initiated. I always thought it was weird when people would talk about companies like they're supposed to have values. They're like, oh, the company doesn't care about their employees. I'm like, it's a company. It cannot functionally care. It can implement policies that help, but they always talk about them like with this weird anthropomorphized idea of what a company is, where they're attributing emotion and things to something that inherently can't have an emotional state.
Well, maybe if it's a company of a small size, you're able to know everyone and it's a different situation.
But they're saying it about a Target.
But it's Adidas, dude. Like, they don't care about their consumers.
They're saying it about Target or Walmart.
They do it in their orientations too.
Yeah, and that's on the companies for being lame and kind of.
I think maybe Gen Z coming up into the corporate world is gonna shake things up in that regard because they can't. I mean, yes, they're hypersensitive, but also they don't adhere as well to that corporate etiquette speak.
Yeah, they just quit.
They just quit. Yeah.
That's
why the quiet quitting trend happened.
There was a really funny video there. He's like, there's no staying at a job for 40 years. If we don't
There's
like a
no
job,
2 weeks notice.
No, we just quit.
Rhaegar, he who says anime is clearly satanic, says Ari Emanuel, brother of Obama White House Chief of Staff Rahm Emanuel. I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
The template for the character Ari Gold on Entourage. I didn't know that either. The guy is Democrat royalty.
And that was the guy who worked for Endeavor, right? Endeavor is one of those companies
Yes.
that is growing at a rapid rate. Like whenever we do all our research into the stuff we're going to talk about, a lot of the articles that I actually find kind of interesting, but then we never cover because they're not actually interesting they wouldn't be interesting unless you had like a weird kind of weirdly obsessive enjoyment of certain things. It's like articles about like how companies like Endeavor grow with their profit sharing, the different departments they're opening up, and him and Endeavor is one of those companies that's expanded heavily since COVID.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Ben Ryder said, I just personally can't take Kanye seriously after the South Park Fish Sticks episode. Top 10 South Park episodes of all time.
I mean, that's fair. Maybe the best thing people can do is not take Kanye seriously, and it's somehow more enjoyable.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, he's obscenely honest and obscenely sincere, and that's a rarity in the world these days, at least in that industry.
Bobcat said, it's bugging me how nobody talks about the context of the DEFCON tweet. Remember, this was immediately after the ADL lied about him. I thought that the ADL responded after his tweet, though.
Yeah.
Or did they respond after his Instagram post with that like text chain with P. Diddy?
I think it says Anti-Defamation League urges Adidas to sever ties with Ye. No?
Ye?
I'm doing it on purpose now. No? With Ye's Yeezy.
Well, that was after his tweet, though.
Yeah.
I don't know what the ADL said before his tweet. I don't think they responded yet.
The Anti-Defamation League is urging Adidas to sever ties with Ye, calling out his recent hateful comments in a letter to Adidas CEO Casper Rorsted and chair Thomas Rabe. The rapper designer formerly known as Kanye West in his recent weeks has made several degrading remarks about Jewish people and targeted his business partners with public threats. In September, he parted ways with retailer Gap, and earlier this month, Adidas said it was reviewing the partnership. It looks like, like what
that
you were
was
saying.
all, the ADL responded all after his tweet.
Yeah. In light of Kanye's increasingly strident anti-Semitic remarks over the past few weeks, we were disturbed to learn that Adidas plans to continue to release new products from his Yeezy brand without any seeming acknowledgement of the controversy surrounding his most recent remarks, says the ADL. We urge Adidas to reconsider supporting Kanye West, the Ye product, now I'm going to do it ironic. The Ye product line, and to issue a statement regarding making clear the Adidas company and community has no tolerance whatsoever for anti-Semitism. So it's all like I said, so much is coming out so quickly that the timeline is all jumbled.
Yeah, but I know for a fact the ADL only responded to him after the DEFCON 3 tweet, not before. There was only a short window between his Instagram post where he was telling P. Diddy that Jewish people were telling him to call him, and his DEFCON 3 tweet. The ADL did not respond in the meantime. So, Bobcat, if you could please elaborate in case I'm missing something that happened before he tweeted that.
He says, Bobcat,
let me know.
He responds right here. Says, Bobcat says they smeared him about the White Lives Matter shirt leading to West's tweet. So they're saying that they responded about that. Well, that just proves to you that, remember, you're not allowed to say that. You're not allowed to say that. You're not allowed to say the White Lives Matter.
I'll look into that later and see what they said and respond to that. The shirts.
Now I'm going to be screwing up Ye and Ye all the time. One
Please
joke
don't.
screws it up.
Please don't.
Damn it.
Matt said, isn't the response going to reinforce his misguided views, or is it that he's now seen as irredeemable, so how he views the response doesn't matter?
It's going to reinforce his views, unfortunately. That's what's going to happen.
Right. If you think that Kanye has paranoid delusions that like he's being targeted, and you're targeting him in response, trying to destroy his life and career, how are you helping?
Yep.
Like, I'm not saying you're trying to help, but don't pretend you are. Luis Aguilar said, hello all, your opinion on Arrested Development. I started a physical media collection and I picked up the first 3 seasons.
I've not watched Arrested Development. I've just been working.
I don't know
there.
if you would like it.
It doesn't seem like that's outside my genre.
I liked it a lot, but I
wheelhouse.
don't know if you would.
Good job, though, on starting a physical media collection, because that's what everybody should be doing. There was an article that we did not cover early last month, or maybe it was at the beginning of October, about Warner Brothers has been removing like content that you've purchased, and that's a problem, dude. I mean, that would happen on iTunes all the time. Like if you bought shows, like if you bought episodes of shows and stuff would just disappear as they were renegotiating licensing agreements. And so in the meantime, they might get that show back, they might not. And in the meantime, you can't watch the media you paid for. And in the fine print, it always says that basically like you don't own it, you're basically just leasing it for the indefinite future.
And if you're going to take that media down from the platform, you should at least refund the people that bought it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
High Voltage 75 said, show idea, every time there's a crisis party, instead of thank you, Brett and Mary, do a swing with pelvic thrust.
Swing.
I won't be doing that personally. You, Brett? What do you think?
Claudia Schiffer. Showing. No? Wayne's World? Anybody?
I do need to rewatch that. I've watched it already like so many times.
It's an absolute masterpiece. Like if we could do a watch party on that, it would just be me quoting every line annoyingly as the movie goes on, and everybody just giving me like really dirty looks because I won't shut up quoting literally everything in the movie.
I still have a Wayne's World hat, by the way. I should wear that.
You should wear that, and I should get. I could have my dad mail me my shirt, the one that says like about the gun rack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll match.
I don't even own a gun, let alone many guns that would necessitate an entire rack. What am I gonna do with a gun rack? We ask you.
Brian Sheesby said, what does Mary think about cargo shorts?
Thoughts?
I have I lean towards disliking them. I don't want to say I hate them.
That's
the popular thing to say.
That's a generational difference. If you were a millennial, you would hate them with a burning passion,
right.
Unless you're John Cena. John Cena is allowed to like cargo shorts. But everybody else, it's kind of like a surrender to daddom.
I'm lukewarm to cargo shorts.
It's
they're very practical.
Keep a bunch of stuff in there. Have you ever seen that video of the guy who just keeps pulling stuff out? It's just a never-ending. It's a never-ending.
Yeah,
It's like,
this is why women carry purses.
My God. I saw some guy shoplifting one time, and they caught him, and he literally was doing that. He's just pulling stuff out of cargo shorts, and I'm just like, you got to be kidding me, dude.
1000-foot Dethan said, I'm just glad millennials stopped overusing epic.
That's aggressive.
I haven't heard that one in a while. That's a good point. Yeah, epic.
Yeah.
Epic bacon.
I remember that.
Dude.
The obsession with bacon, Liam Neeson, and Chuck Norris.
The Chuck Norris one's even like.
You millennials will pay for your crimes.
And
waffles for some reason. Even though I like waffles, it's just, why was that a meme? I don't understand.
I still don't understand. I still hate the term tea.
Wait, what?
Tea.
I used it ironically. Ironically, I used it.
Not a huge
around
fan
friends.
Of tea.
Yeah.
That was late stage millennial lingo. Terrence Rice said, Yeet was dead for years after the song popularity dropped. Now everyone and their mama is saying it. Also, fupa and gunt are words I've never thought would be in my working vocabulary. I hate those words, and I'm sad that I know what they mean.
It's what were we talking about? What was the words that we were telling Dane yesterday? He really liked. He liked brouhaha, and he liked hullabaloo.
I like hootenanny.
Hootenanny. That's a good one. It's where do you even hear hootenanny in the real world?
Only when I say it.
Or it was like when I was rewatching the Born Identity, and there's a girl unironically saying Scheiße because she's German. It's great. It's great stuff. It's good stuff. All right, guys. Thank you all so much. And Chris, thank you.
Of course, yeah.
Let everyone know where they can find you, my friend.
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at manofbert, and you can find me on Timcast. Click the Read tab. I've been taking my notes.
Yeah.
You can find all our articles.
Perfect. All right, Mary, where can they find you?
you want to see pictures of me on the internet, you can follow me on Instagram at Mary Archived. And if you want to hear my inane thoughts on the internet, you can follow me on Twitter, also at Mary Archived.
I also want to apologize to 1,000 Foot Deep End. There was a super chat that came through yesterday that we didn't end up getting to read.
For some reason, it didn't show up on my screen, but I didn't see it at all. Sorry about that.
So we apologize about that. I talked to 1,000 Foot Deep End yesterday, and yes, we apologize, and we are sorry that happened. Hopefully nothing like that happened today. So, guys, if you want to follow me, you can follow me on Instagram at Brett Dasovic for the show. We are here Monday through Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is noon Pacific. Mary, before I continue, there's one more. From 1,000
Foot Deep End said, perhaps I should clarify that I'm also a millennial. I've just always hated the abuse of Epic.
It is,
yeah.
Pretty much anybody talking about it. Like, if there was a period of time in which everything you ever did every weekend was Epic.
Epic Face. Remember Epic Face?
Yeah. And let's face it, like, the chances of that many, like, boring millennials going out to college bars on weekends having that many Epic experiences just defied the laws of mathematics.
Did you guys ever do the Harlem Shake?
I remembered it. No.
But neither of you ever did it?
No. You?
No, I was literally like 10.
Perfect. All right, guys, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is noon Pacific. We got one more. Damn it. They're going to keep doing this. This is like a hostage party.
Matt said, Mary, you got to wear your fuzzy hat on IRL next time.
Comrade Mary.
Well, if I had known ahead of time, I would have. I promise I will.
Yep. All right, now let's try this one more time. So you gotta make sure that you wear that one next time. All right, so we're also on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify. We've been working really hard to get those podcasts up the same day. A lot of people weren't big fans of having to wait till the next day to get the full audio version of the podcast. We're doing our best here, guys. We're also on social media, Twitter at popculture_show, Facebook and TikTok at Pop Culture Crisis, on Instagram at Pop Culture Crisis Pod, and we've got one more from 1,000 Foot Deep End. Says, no hard feelings about yesterday's chat. Love y'all. So thank you, 1,000 Foot Deep End. Thank you all for joining us today. We will be back with another episode tomorrow. We'll see you then, guys. Later.
Bye.
Bye.